Oh, wait, what? It's Jennifer. What do you mean, Jennifer? Oh, Jennifer of Sena. Okay. So I'm gonna give Jennifer. Jennifer, feel free to unmute, and then yeah.
Hi, Coach.
Yep. So where's Jennifer?
All right.
I can.
So, hello, everybody. Hello, classmates. For the past few weeks, I got a gradual improvement um, in my self confidence of finding jobs online because I I really struggle coping up from being 10 years in the office base,
Yeah.
and then I'm now starting to hi hello to um, freelance jobs. And what is this freelance jobs? Oh my.
Okay.
So I started as an ESL teacher. Actually, when I started as an ESL teacher in February, I fear English languages actually, but
Okay.
Quick Pro gave me also the courage, the confidence that there is no wrong. There is no wrong in speaking English, as long as you have the confidence to speak with it. So
Yeah.
you can do wrong things because you are willing to be corrected by someone. Right? In Quick Pro, I learned to communicate with anybody whom I didn't know.
Yeah. Nice. Okay.
Yeah, yes, there's Cebuanos. I learned coaches from Cebuanos. I learned
Okay.
classmates from Manila, from Quezon City. So I'm amazed by those people who actually helped me improve my attitude of being isolated. I'm
Yeah.
actually um, I do
Oh no.
a lot more. I'm trying to study, to self study, and I'm trying to apply it gradually.
Cool.
All that
One
I
step.
learned.
So what are the so let's talk about this. What are the things? Okay. So you're so. By the way, can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
coach. Loud
coach.
and clear.
All right. All right. Okay. So let's dig deep on like what you've done. Okay, so right now the improvements. Okay, that's a great improvement. Number one, you are now reaching out to people who you don't know, right? And that takes courage for some people. For me, it's natural now that I can just be like, I don't really care about anything, or like I can just come up with any person like, hey, what's up? Test if like there's some vibe going on and see if we can connect. Not okay, cool, whatever. Um, but it started off just like any normal person who would think that why would I approach this person? We don't know each other, right? Like he doesn't know me. There's no reason for me to approach, stuff like that. And I had those limiting beliefs as well because from the moment we were born, uh, maybe till this day as Filipinos, um, we have a very strong in-group and out-group effect, right? Which means that we only like love to keep engaging with people who are inside our inner circle of friends or networks or whatever it is, right? And anything outside of that is like no, 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 no. I don't have to anyway, right? Because the thing is, uh, the reality of the fact is like the reality of the matter of the fact is that you don't really have any reason to because you don't really have to, frankly speaking, right? Because if you're going just through college, you're just going through high school, whatever happens, like just you have to get good grades and that's it. Just pass, that's it. You don't have to make new friends, you don't have to make new connections, stuff like that. That's it, right? So just pass, get a job, fine. whoever in entrepreneurship, and like the thing is, if you don't do that, you're putting a handbrakes on yourself on the amount of money that you could possibly make, the amount of team members, people who you associate yourselves with. And it's a very simple analogy here that I'm going to give to Jennifer, which is, and to everyone else. The thing is, like, there's two types of fishermen. Number one, if you want to catch fish, you want to be where the fish is at, right? So that's how entrepreneurship works. The thing is, for most people, you have to start switching from a mindset of like hiding to going out there, right? And that takes time, and that takes like every single day you have to keep pushing yourself and pushing yourself until it becomes natural. And right now, just by Jennifer doing these things is already half a win, because she's now winning than other people who are hiding. And that's going to go compound. Maybe this week she's going to talk to 10 people. And then next week she talks to 20, and then 30, and then 40, and 50, and 60. And then there's this one person inside QuickBro who's not doing anything at all, who's procrastinating, right? And I'm not talking about just talk about anyone around QuickBro. I'm talking about talking to everyone in your network or like on Facebook groups. So here's the thing. It's about becoming resourceful, right? And those will compound, because next thing you know, Jennifer could actually have like someone in 2 weeks from now reach out to her. Hey, we talked 2 weeks ago, and XYZ. Ends up happening is they start something, whether it's going to end up with her becoming hired as a team member, whether it's her finding a business partner, whether it's her becoming whatever it is. There's now infinitely more possibilities for Jennifer to bring luck towards her situation. Does that make sense? Right? Sure, there is luck, right? Frankly speaking, yes, there is luck. Luck happens. However, there is a way or a system for you to increase the amount of luck to actually be in your favor. Does that make sense? Yeah, and these are things. You just put yourself out there, right? Sure, a fisherman who just hides and doesn't go to the waters out there is going to have to wait for luck to magically, a tsunami, to just magically just put all the fish to the ground, right? Is that entirely impossible? No. But what are the chances of that happening? Very slim. But what if they actually go out there, and then just go where the fish is at, keep casting the net, see what fish actually gets in the net. Okay, cool. What's happening is there's now higher chances of luck for Jennifer to actually get an expensive fish. It could be tuna, it could be anything, it could be whatever it is. Does that make sense? Are guys seeing how this, all comes down to what do you do with what you learn? Right? At least, okay, that's it. That's the bottom line. Okay, so Jennifer right now, I'm gonna recognize her for she's starting to reach out. She's now having more self-confidence, and right now something is starting to shift under her brain subconsciously, because it's starting to shift, and her brain's like, holy shit, Jennifer has not been doing this before, but now she's doing it now. Now your self-identity starts to shift, right? So now it starts to shift, at least maybe in this space, but the thing that Jennifer has to protect is her self-identity, because if she hangs out with people who made her feel bad, probably 2 or 3, 4, 5, 7, 6, 8 years ago, you're going to go back to your identity of when you met those people in the past. Does that make sense? Here's an example. Notice how when you're with this kind of group of people, you act this way. And then when you're with this kind of people, when you hang out with this kind of people, you act another type of way. Does that make sense? With this type of group of people, you're like, oh, you're calm, you can talk about anything in the world and stuff like that. Oh, you're open and stuff like that. With this kind of people, you're like more, you feel unsafe. You feel unsafe. You feel small. You feel like, what do I say? This kind of people, right? I think everyone has those experiences.
Yes.
Yep.
That's true, Coach.
Yun, is that you, Yun?
Yeah. Yes,
right?
Coach.
100%. And so it is in your best interest to protect yourself from those kinds of continuing, I don't want to use complex terms, but it is your job to protect yourself from those kinds of people. What if they're my friends in the past? I don't want to cut them off. Sure, 100%. You don't have to cut them off, but you just have to limit, because your growth, it is your best interest to grow as a person, to be around people who stretch you, not hold you back. Okay, so funny thing is, like, guys, I'm just the product of the people. Where I am now is 80% the product of the people who I associate myself with on a day-to-day basis. That's just what happened to me. It's not magic. It looks like it, but it's not. It looks like, oh, okay. So it's funny. So it's funny as well because a lot of people tell me that, oh, I have an accent, but I didn't realize that. I don't know if I do have one, but like a lot of people are like, Coach, you have an accent. Like, what do you mean? Um, but I didn't realize it because it just naturally happened. I wasn't even trying to have an accent. I just like falls out of my mouth. That was just because of me being around people who was speaking in English, right? Foreign clients, Australian clients, Canadian clients, US clients, and I was forced to do that. But it is through the day-to-day kind of experiences that got me to be like, okay, now there's a mental shift inside my subconscious that gets me to grow. Now for Jennifer, things have to change. Nothing changes if nothing changes. Okay, so now it's just Jennifer is now starting to change some stuff. She's now reaching out to people. She's now, and it doesn't matter. You don't have to keep leaning beyond your edges because you're gonna break apart. You also don't, but you also don't want to be in your comfort zone because that's your enemy of everything. And the natural tendency of human beings is to stay in their comfort zone, right? Here's an example. You go to a new party, you go to a party, many people around, there's people who you know and you don't know. What's the first thing that comes to your mind? Where's my friend? Where's my cousin? Where's my mom? Where's my dad? Where's my da 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 da? Right? You don't want to put yourself out there. Like, no, I don't want to meet new people, right? But the funny thing is you're programmed that way because for so many reasons that I don't want to get into that deeply. But the thing here, lesson to learn is things have to change in the things that you do. Okay. Every single day, every week. And I want to congratulate Jennifer for doing that. Now, I want to spend like just 3 more minutes of just running down. Jennifer, what are the things that you did that changed aside from you reaching out to more people, you now becoming, applying to to other online jobs, right? What are the other things that have changed in the way that you've done things since before you got into Quick Pro and after you got into Quick Pro?
I just became open-minded to every people when our coaches here in Quick Pro gave me a team, and then suddenly they assigned me as a project manager without any experience, but they encourage me, so that you can do it. You don't have to be the best of the skill.
Hmm.
You just need to manage people, and
Yeah.
then there are many people, plenty of different beliefs, different traditions, different way of talking, but they are all good people. They have best skills. So I became open-minded of those things, that these people, all peoples are great. There are no people that there are no person that he or she can say that I am nothing, that something like in Tagalog is walang alam.
Mhm.
You can never say that, because even though you're simple, you can do things here, especially in freelancing. Even though you can't, you have no chances of having in college, this opens me that you can do things now, because the what do you call this, um, our what do you call this, 2020 is for old people. The
Okay.
past things that, because you earned awards, no, it's nonsense now. 2020 will open for all people an opportunity. And then what did I do in my skills? I just study the quick pros trainings, the videos, and then I'm taking the exams, the test. Now I can open some of the like the platforms, online, the job street, the online jobs.ph. I now understand what is the meaning of this, what is a SMM, what is SEO, which is before I don't know what's that.
Yeah.
But it's very easy
It-
when from Quick Pro. I'm like, that's SEO. That's the SEO. You know, I'm a computer science graduate, but I don't know SEO, what SEO means, because it's new to me. So now I understand what is SEO, what is SMM, what is FB ads. And now I'm trying
Okay.
to apply uh, every skills that I need to learn about uh, doing FB ads, doing appointment setting, copywriting.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
So,
Yeah, and those are the things that will really take you to the next level gradually, right? So those are things that you're doing. Um, just make sure that you're not focusing too much on becoming a perfectionist, where you're like, I have to learn everything first before I start applying, because a lot of people have the perfectionist syndrome, where they're like, I want to keep going over and over the same video again, maybe for a month before I start applying. What I would suggest for my people is like, it's more a bit of the uncomfortable mode, where you just go through it one and see how you can best apply it right off the bat, and then learn from the differences between how the video wants you to do it and how you're actually doing it. Does that make sense? Instead of like trying to become a perfectionist, writing notes over and over and over and over again, probably for like a one entire week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and then starting to apply it for the first time a little bit. Does that make sense? So that's just me in terms of, but you have to see as well if like if you're comfortable with, not really comfortable, but if you're able to tolerate that. Does that make sense? Because the last thing that you want is like stretching yourself way too fast that you start breaking apart. You don't want to do that. You want to keep the growth sustainable, and seeing if you can actually do those things. But anyway, Jennifer, thanks for sharing. And I think a lot of people were able to chime in as well and see like how my class actually work. So I'm gonna move on to the next one. So Jennifer is one. Who's the other one? I think Yoon. Go ahead. All right, Yoon, go ahead. You can mute.
Thank you very much, Coach, for this chance that I can share. Actually, Coach, I want to share is that I lived in my province where all the negative people,
Okay.
I am surrounded by negative people in my province when I was young. Also, my parents are also negative about online, uh,
A lot
where,
are.
yeah,
Yeah.
where they think of online marketing, networking. They all, when they heard the word network, they immediately say to me, it's a scam. That's a scam. Even insurances like that, they don't believe in any of those. But apparently, my father is the one. My father is the one also who encourages me to take up business, because I actually my work now is not related to this. I am getting into myself, because I am employed working on the ship right now. I
Mm.
know my mat because I'm thinking that I will focus more on Quick Pro, because I think it is where my where I can express myself freely, because during my previous years I don't actually feel myself, because in the ship uh, you just do your job, do your thing, and that's it, already finished. And then I experienced many older people who are still working on the ship, even though they are still very old already, 50 plus, 50 plus. Imagine your age is 50, but you're still working on the ship. That's why I told to myself that when I disembark from this ship, I want to learn something different. Uh, Actually, I'm a little bit skeptical when I am scrolling down my Facebook about like how to
Make money
do,
online.
yeah, make money online, something like that. Because and I I was scrolling down, and this Quick Pro thing uh, stopped me, and then I just okay, I'll just watch this video of Coach Madge. Then
So what
I
what
click.
what video stopped you?
the video of Coach Madge about how to be millionaire, something like that.
Okay.
Those yes, that one that video, and then I just okay I'll just try and watch this one until the end. If if this video will convince me, I just tried, and then oh I think I was a bit triggered to join because the video somewhat like there's no harm in trying. It was in my instinct that okay, there's no harm in trying. At least now uh, I disembarked the ship. I think I saved a little bit of money. So okay, I'll try. If this is a risk, then okay, I'll try. If this is where I can learn, okay, I'll try. So there, I tried to learn, and my my gut tells me that I think I entered the right way for me, because here in Quick Pro I can manage to talk freely to other people. Like I
Mm.
because first time I joined in Quick Pro, my chat box is very boring, empty,
Okay.
very very quiet. And
Okay.
then now I'm almost a month here in Quick Pro, and my chat box is a little bit noisy because now at least I can manage to talk to other people, and other people wants to add me in in their chat box. Oh, hey, hi mate, hi classmate, how are you doing? Like something like that. And then
Okay.
so what are you studying now? What is your niche? What are you planning? Something like that.
Yeah, that's
At
good.
least yes. And then the good thing about that is you don't know the person, but you're
So,
comfortable in yeah in conversing with that person, because you know that you have the same mindset with that person, that you want to get your life easier, because you don't want to work until your 50s. I think we have the same goal here in Quick Pro, wherein we want to retire early. We don't want to work until we die, something like that. So I think I can see now that I think I'm in the right track. And
mm,
for your and I actually love your words of wisdom. That's why, because I related to one of your stories where your mother is thinking about you, that oh, what's this kid doing, dropped out of school, only facing his screen laptop, something like that. Actually, if I tell my mother that oh, I don't want to go to the ship, I want to focus in this training anymore, maybe my mother will be in the hospital, high blood,
okay.
because she is really very negative in this kind of things. And I tried to share with my father. Actually, my father is a Korean. I'm half Korean. I tried to share with my father, and my father understands it. So it gives me a little relief. Oh, at least I can share. I can share more on like this one to my father easily than to my mother.
By the
That's
way,
why.
I'm
Yeah.
curious. Do you know how to speak Korean?
Some words only.
Okay. But yeah, there's a lot of people already here. Like, I know,
Yes, coach.
all right. Okay,
That's
so
why it's I'm very happy that I met you all people. Just I want you to I want to tell that you can approach me anytime if you want some friend to talk to, or Quick Pro team, or a Quick Pro member. You want to share some things. Thank you very much for all of you. That's all, coach.
yeah, 100%. Um, so the thing about that, long story short, as well, it's funny because it's a sad thing to say, but a lot of I feel most of the people that the real connections and friends that I've made are actually like thousands of miles away from 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 where I am. I'm sure I made friends as well when I was in high school and stuff like that. Those are really great friends. I don't discredit them, but right now, sometimes in a world where not a lot of people are just like okay with following the system, things like these are happening around the world, and you for a lot of people who are new here, you guys are like, I didn't even know this existed a few weeks ago, or heck, even a few months ago, right? And now you're actually here sharing, your experiences with people who are probably in the same boat as you. And the thing about that is like, you got to make friends with these kinds of people because you don't want to keep staying where you are. And so since you guys are, since you are, since you guys are, a good bunch of people because you guys are paying, you guys are not paying for just watching YouTube videos. You guys are paying because you have a specific outcome in mind, right? So just remember yourself with a specific outcome in mind will keep driving you to those things. And yep, 100%. Always keep reaching out to people. Always talk to people. Put yourselves out there because that is what will develop your confidence. Long story short, um, if you can't even reach out to a few people or talk to people randomly, then how would you expect to close a client, right? So how would you even expect yourself to talk to a client, to close a client, to be convicted enough in yourself? By the way, long story short, what I do is I don't teach people to kind of like look for jobs in a way. More of what I do is more of like how to land deals with clients. So I don't know how other of the other quick grow teachers or mentors or coaches are coaching you guys and how you will make money on the online space. More of what I do is like deal making processes. Does that make sense? So it's more of like treating yourself as a contractor. It's an independent contractor making a contract with people and they pay you for how much you want to charge them for is what I do because I'm in more of like copywriting. I'm more like marketing, those kind of stuff and closing deals for people as well. So it's not about how I want to apply for a job, which it's totally fine by the way, because most of you are like, oh, I can't make money on the right now. I just realized that depending on an offline thing is suicide, especially when things like these happen. So you want to take something online where you can still make money even during the pandemic. That's fine. But my market is like for the people who want to do something, build businesses, entrepreneurship kind of stuff, and contracting. So that's what I'm teaching you guys: sales and marketing, sales, marketing, copywriting, which are three of the most highest paying skills in the online space, right? So long story short, I think we have. I'll do one more share, and then we can proceed to the actual sales. So more of this call right now is not going to become more information. This is more of the implementation. So after you guys after I get one more person to open up, we'll then proceed to the actual role plays, okay, of closing deals. So let me see. I'm scrolling up, by the way. So let me see if I have there's questions. Because I'm late. Oh, yes, coach.
Me, coach.
Who's that? Who was that? Who just unmuted?
Tina.
Christina.
All right, Christina. Christina, give me just 1 minute. I'm just like scrolling through the chats real quick to see if I have any important questions that I can address. Yeah, thanks. Okay. Hi. Okay, so Larnie has a question. I'll just share it through the chat because I'm not the only one in the room. I'm just a newbie and this is my second time attending your class. I'm still exploring the course in Quick Grow. Is to learn more from you? Exactly, I got it. I don't have enough for develop. Oh, yeah, that's fine. So it's beginner. All right, that's cool. What's up, sir? Marlo, okay, hi, sir. Okay, cool. Whatever it is. I'm just blabbering, guys. Just give me 5 more seconds. Okay, cool. All right, let's go ahead and open up. Who is that? Who unmuted? Christine, was that?
Hello, coach.
Okay. Hey, Christine, right?
Yes po.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Based on I want to share with you ha. Usually kasi, I have no idea about the freelancer. Usually talagang wala akong idea dito. I'm a newbie talaga. Sabi ko nga, yung palang before ko naging course kasi, dito ko pala siya magagamit. Kasi before I'm secretary, but I cannot continue. Sabi ko, ayoko sa computer kasi nga, wala naman mararating dyan. But everything, wala naman mangyayari. Pero ngayon, I realized, yung quick pro, si Coach Ma, dati ko na siya nakikita. Pero, paano nagbabrowse lang ako, walang pakialam. Pero one time, nung nakita ko yung free, I grab this. Kasi nga wala akong idea kung ano bang meaning ng mga freelancer as a newbie. Kasi nga po zero knowledge ako. Usually kasi ang experience ko malayo dito sa ngayon. And then after that, na-realize ko na yung mga naging experience ko, dito ko pala siya magagamit. Kasi before, nagsa-sales na po ako. Kung remember nyo na meron akong experience na nagbabahay-bahay, dati mga promo, ganun experience ko. Sabi ko, dito ko pala pwedeng gamitin yung before na experience ko na hindi ko lang siya na-develop. Kasi marami na po akong napasukan about sellings. So, I have my idea. Especially, pagka mga irate customer, grabe hindi ko alam kung paano ko sila i-deal, lalo na pag mga professional. Lalo na kapag hindi, ikaw parang ordinary tao lang. So, ngayon, dito po sa itinuro niyo sa amin, dito niyo i-build yung mga mga negative thinking ng ibang tao na iniisip nila sa freelance.
Yeah.
Kasi katulad niyan, sabi nila, ano naman mararating mo diyan? Mas ang payo lang sa akin ng isang tao, sabi niya sa akin, ni-advise na, bakit hindi mo na ipagpatuloy yung pag-aaral mo? Kasi yung mga kumukuha diyan, mga second skill na nila. Kumbaga parang gusto niya i-continue ko muna yung pag-aaral ko. Pero ang akin kasi, wala naman akong nakitang mali sa nagiging decision ko. Kasi dream ko talaga maging isang magaling na sales at maging isang negosyante. Dream ko na po bata pa lang ako. So nakita ko yung mga confident ng bawat isa dito, yung development na nangyayari. Kaya parang mas naengganyo talaga ako na mas i-continue ko pa rin yung pag-improvement, especially po sa mga how to approachable, lalo sa mga masaselang mga ng pakikipag-communicate mo sa customer mo, lalo na pagdating sa logic, sa medyo emotional. Yun po yung napansin ko sa mga nag-sales kasi galing po ako sa Anytime Fitness. So I'm housekeeping. So ginagawa na nila akong brand ambassador. Kasi kaya ko i-handle. Sabi ko, marunong ako. Kumbaga, hindi ko lang siya ma-build. Ang pangit lang kasi sa, ayoko nang sabihin. Basta doon ako galing. Nakita ko lang different people.
Yeah.
Nakita ko yung mga problema nila, especially sa pera. Lalo na yan, napakahirap niyan. Isa yung sa pinaka nakikita ko, araw-araw may complaint. Sorry kasi. Pero binibuild ako ng mga coach ko na bakit hindi mo ituloy. Kasi po totoo lang, kaya ko talagang benta. Kung gustuin ko, kaya ko. Yun lang. Kumbaga hindi ko lang alam kung saan point ako dapat magsimula para yung close ng deal maging kumbaga consistent. Hindi siya naiiba, 'di ba? Dapat yun yung bagay na hindi ko alam kung paano.
Looking for a predictable process to actually close deals consistently, right?
Yun yung pinakamahirap na hindi ko alam. Yeah. Yun po yung natutunan ko sa inyo. Na unti-unti, sabi ko, ito talaga yung hinahanap ko. Ito yung kulay. Sabi ko, mukhang mas bata pa sa akin yung magtuturo. Sabi ko, first time. Usually nga po, mga coach ko, mga coaches ko, nakita ko pa paano sila mag-deal. Iba-ibang tao. Nakita ko, sabi ko, kinoobserbahan ko sila, ganun ko nakita yung pag-build how to deal the mga irate sa mga different people. Usually, may mga 4 na klase ng tao na itinuro sa akin ni coach. The 4 personality na makikita mo kung paano sila i-deal.
Christine, I'm just gonna get some of this here, okay? So I want this, class to be more like valuable for people. So it could be something that we can talk about.
So much.
But so where I want to come here on, and I don't want to cut you off, but where I want to focus on here is like like you have a pretty much of a very very similar story with you, right? So you guys finally realize that this world is actually something that exists, and for some reason you actually vibe with this because you're actually growing, right? So now let's get into the premise here of what I want you guys to keep opening up for, so that we'll get some clarity and structure as well, so that we'll make this call actually valuable for the other people who are listening as well, so that it's more of like intentional sharing instead of kind of like sharing whatever you want to share. Does that make sense, Christine? Christine, you there? So what I want to pull out, Christine, is what are the things that you've done in the past that you haven't done in the past, or what are the things that changed this past few weeks? What are the new things that you're working on right now that you haven't been doing in the past few weeks, if that makes sense?
Ngayon, mas naging matured na yung ko, naging, yung kumbaga nag-improve na yung knowledge ko about sa mga pagse-sales at dun sa mga strategy na hindi ko alam before. So kayo po yung nagturo sa akin. Malaki pong improvement yun sa bawat isa. Kasi po yung sa isa sa kulang sa amin. Kung sa mga wala pang experience.
So
Sa
anong
ganitong
ginagawa mo ngayon sa like in the past two weeks, 1 week, when you're in Quick Pro, what are the things that you've done? What are the actions that you've actually done, if that makes sense?
Usually, lang po, sir. Usually kasi ngayon, meron kaming project. So, na about sales. So, talagang sabi ko, i-grab ko na daw. Ganun. Kaso nga lang, nagkaroon pa ako ng problema. So, kailangan ko munang ayusin. Pero talagang po, isa po yun sa, kumbaga, meron na kaming bala. Ito na yung, ito na yung i-apply namin na lahat na itinuro nyo sa amin. So, dito namin gagamitin. Yun po, yung parang sasali kami sa league. Isa po yung pinaka-the best para mas lalo pa namin malaman yung mga strategy natin. Thank you po sa lahat.
Okay.
Sa lahat ng mga classmate ko, sa lahat ng mga sharing. Thank you po sa inyo.
Okay.
Yan
Cool.
po.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
So give me a second. All right. Cool. So guys, what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna get into actual role plays of sales. Okay, so hello classmate Christian, we have always yeah, cool. So the thing about this is I know a lot of people here are a lot of people are connecting, a lot of people here are learning skills, stuff like that. So I'm gonna get some premise here. Who here has no idea of what skill to even build, where to even start, and how do you get that? Like, so probably this is because I just started to realize in Quick Pro, there are so many things that the coaches like kind of like offer at the same time. I don't know if you guys would choose like, oh, I'm going to become a video editor, content creator, social media manager, marketer, copywriter, whatever it is, that you choose that and then you invest in something like that, or is it that you just get into this higher level course and then it's like everybody's like, okay, there's copywriting, there's marketing, there's sales, there's also like so many kind of choices. What ends up happening with people as well, like there's so many choices and you're starting from scratch. The biggest thing for that is like, I don't know which one's gonna work for me, right? So I don't know which ones I want to build. But I want to have a quick question here. Who here feels like they don't really even know what kind of skills even build, how the journey even looks like, and stuff like that. By the way, I'm gonna be. I have someone who I need to respond to just real quick. So give me 1 quick minute. I'll be back. It's like 1 quick minute. But if anyone here is here who feels like that, drop in the chat. We'll be back in like a really quick minute. Okay, cool. So me. All right. So thank God. Okay, so for those who have no idea about where to start, the thing about that is it depends on like what is your goal. So so what is your goal? Do you just want to make a monthly income online? And if yes, how much do you guys want to make online, ideally in the perfect world? I think that's the biggest start. And the thing is, it's either two things have to be okay. So two things have to be in set here. Number one is like you need to figure out like what are the things you're already good at. Does that make sense? So if you're already good at like photo editing or video editing, then you're probably going to be an easier check mark if you pursue social media content creation. Does that make sense? If you guys are already good with like video editing or stuff like that, then you would want to go about, go for video editing as well. Now, the second thing is that once you want to, how do you call about this? If you're more into, if you're more into fascinated with coding, stuff like that, and dragging things around, those are what I would do there is you would go into website development. Does that make sense? Now, if you want to make a shitload of money, I would recommend copywriting and sales, and then working with really big clients, because that's where most of the money is made. Now, that depends on like what you want, but of course, the more money you want to make, the more effort it will need from you to acquire those and learn those skill sets, right? And however, once you learn those really expensive and high-paying skill sets, then you can. But at least once you learn those high-level paying skill sets, for example, like copywriting, marketing, sales, SEO as well could work. What is a super high level? I think that's pretty much it. Like building businesses, building teams, and stuff like that. Then that's where you can start going into. But you guys need to get clear first. And what is your goal? Like, so for example, a lot of people are like, oh, I want to go into QuickPro because I want to replace my current income. So what is that current income, that monthly income that you guys want to make on a month-to-month basis? Right? Cool. Yeah. So 100%. WordPress, exactly, logo design, so stuff like that. Yes, sure. That's definitely, those are in demand, stuff as well. Now, long story short, I want to just give you guys some clarity of what is the journey gonna look like in the next 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months for each and every single one of you. Does that make sense? Right? Would you guys want to know that? Depending on like what journey it is. So imagine there's a game, and I don't know if you guys play games on your cell phones or whatever it is, but there's like different kinds of characters, right? So there's a swordsman, there's someone who uses arrows and stuff like that. Either way, each kind of story or each kind of character you choose has a different kind of road. Does that make sense? Like it has a different kinds of road that awaits him, or a journey that awaits him, right? Now, in the freelance world, there's 2 ways that you can make money. You can just apply for a job the same way you would apply for a job. The same way you apply for a job in the offline space, but just take that on the online space. Does that make sense? So all you have to do is just keep applying and applying and applying until you finally become accepted and you get paid for whatever the company is willing to pay you for. Does that make sense? Right? So essentially, okay, so Marian just said, I want to earn a net of at least 150,000 pesos per month, $5,000 per month. This is definitely achievable. I'll show you different ways to go with that. Anyway, now, if you're here to just go with a job where you want to make 60,000 pesos per month, 70, 80, 90, depending on who you work for, then the journey is like, keep building the skill for the first 1 month or 2 months, then start applying for different, depends like how good you are, then start applying and then get a job, and then that's it. Just keep getting paid and over again, right? Then you assign then you apply to 1 job, then 2 jobs, then 3 jobs, then 4 jobs. Does that make sense? It's just like you applying. You're putting yourself out there, people see you, they hire you, and then that's it. Does that make sense? Here, your income is going to be plus, minus, minus. Meaning if you sign 1 client, maybe 20,000 pesos per month. If you sign 2 clients, 40,000 pesos per month. If you sign 3, 60,000 pesos per month. Simple stuff. Does that make sense? Now, any questions on that end? So those are people who want to become. It's a retainer-based thing. A retainer is something that wherein a client pays you the same amount of money every single month. That's pretty much it. That's a retainer. So you're pretty much doing the same thing that you were in the offline world, in a way where you're doing something repetitive, and then you just do that on the online space, right? But it's just that you're doing it in the online space. Now,
Coach,
go ahead.
yes. Please say if I am right, if I understand right.
Mhm.
What do you mean is that, like me, I am on onlinejobs.ph.
Yep.
So what I'm doing now is I'm finding all the skills that are usually hiring there, and then
Okay.
I'm trying to find in the Quick Pro the trainings, and then afterwards I will apply.
Yeah.
Even though I'm not that perfect
Yeah.
in the skills.
Mhm.
Is that fine? Because
Yeah.
I'm afraid because they might get mad, or if there's something that I cannot accomplish, something like that.
What do
How
you mean?
can I, for example, I'm expecting that this is the project because the project in Quick Pro as well as in the actual job is that the same as my expectation. What if um I encountered that client that what I've learned, I've studied is not that perfect, or they are finding out. So how can I approach them that I can learn more? Can I talk to them like
Kimberly,
that?
Kimberly, can you mute? Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, so something like, for example, I learn about I see WordPress. Then I train
Okay.
myself in
So you
WordPress,
know,
and then
I think I get it, right?
okay,
Basically,
okay,
long
thank
story
you.
short, you're scared of like not delivering for a client.
Yes,
Hi,
yes.
coach.
The the
Yeah.
Hello.
per the perfect skills that the client is finding, I couldn't deliver it to them because I am not that special or not that perfect in the skills.
So the thing about that is like you're learning a skill and then you want to sign clients, but then you're not confident yet in your skill set. So the thing is that two things has to happen here: more research and then more improvement of your skills. That's pretty much it. So research as in what level of skill set do I need to develop for a project to be created? Because here you're asking those questions right now because you're still unclear of like what kind of applications do your skill actually have. What is the limits of the skill set that I can actually
Yes, yes,
deliver on?
that's right.
What's the max, what's the minimum, and how do I know stuff like that, right? So those comes down for research. So for example, if you want to go with website development, then you want to start getting to the market of like how much do people pay for website development, what kind of skill sets that actually come into play for you to actually go into you know, um, into that skill set or project. Because first things first, you need to be first super clear with what you can do and cannot do. It's called self-awareness. Because the thing about that, and then I agree. The thing here is just guys like just be honest with your client. Sure, you want to be honest with your client, but you cannot be honest with your client first if you don't even know what your limits are. Does that make sense? So if you don't even know what you can do and what you cannot do, then you cannot communicate that to the client. So for example, for copywriting, if the client wants me to build like an entire big funnel for him, XYZ, and I'm gonna be like, okay, cool. Then I need to get really clear on what I'm being brought in for. What is my specific thing that you're paying me for? What you expect from me to deliver on? And then I can communicate with the client. So do you have X, Y, and Z? But at least at that point, the client is clear about what I can do and what I cannot do. And I'm also clear about what I can do and cannot do. So with that said, expectations are set in stone and anything beyond that is out of your control. So what do I mean by that? So if you have communicated to a client clearly about what you can do and what you cannot do, then you don't have to be scared about anything. Because if you're telling a client like, hey, I can only make one website per week, and then the client's like, I want you to make two, then that's out of your jurisdiction because that's in your client's like, I already told you that I can only make one website per month, this level of whatever it is, right? But that's you first getting clear on what are the things that you can do and what are the things that you cannot do. You can only, coach, I don't know what I can do and what I can't do. Well, you got to do your own research. I'm gonna start doing the things that the market wants. So for example, if you're in video editing and you're like, okay, these are what kind of videos the clients actually want, then you have to do those videos yourself as well. So you can then assess like how many hours do I actually take to actually create these kinds of videos. For example, you want to go with website development, then you want to ask yourself, okay, how many times, what are the things that I need to keep moving and stuff like that of, what are the things that I need to do, stuff like that, and how much do I need to like put into actually creating this project, and how much I want to get paid for this. Once you get clear on that, then you can communicate that to every single client. It's just like a doctor. A doctor knows what they do and what they cannot do. So if it's just a general doctor and the doctor's like, oh, that's not me anymore, that's a neurosurgeon, that's like, okay, here's what I can do for you, but for you to fix whatever fuck's going on in your brain, you need this neurosurgeon. That's not me anymore. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, that's step one. Step two is delivering on your promise. It's not about research. It's more about you doing your actual hard work to elevate your skill. Okay. So then you can deliver on your promise on your area of jurisdiction. Does that make sense? Right?
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. So that is my answer to your question. Wherein, what if you deal with those kinds of things? Did that answer your question, or is it too complicated?
Yes. Thank you, Coach.
Hi, Coach. Hi. Hi, Coach.
Hello, who's speaking?
Yeah, good evening. Noel.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask because I am dealing with irritating clients many times. So how to deal with them?
You're dealing with what clients?
Irritating clients.
How are they irritating? That's very vague.
Oh, they keep on asking about the specs, and they keep on negotiating to lower down the price like that, even though you tell them that the price is,
Okay, so tell me more about your niche first, so I can get more context.
Actually, we have family business, and
Okay.
this family business is in construction. We are small contracting company.
Okay.
So sometimes they ask estimation for the project, and they keep on irritating, and they keep on increasing the quality of materials like that.
Okay, so Noel, what you need to do first, that's because of a lack of setting expectations. So the thing about that is, like, you have to set expectations first of what's okay and what's not okay. What's your ballpark? What's your ballpark for the things that need to happen, right? And it also depends because you need to take a look at like what's going on in the market, because if there is a competition who can deliver better prices for the same thing, then that's kind of like that's on you whether you want to go down to your competition or whether you want to stay what you have. But you want to differentiate yourself from your market, from your other competitors in your space. Now, if they're becoming irritating, that's because you haven't set in a system for updating on communication for the client. So before you sign any client, you got to get them clear on like, here's how we do things. So you lead the client, you don't keep following the client. Does that make sense? Right? So you lead the client and you're like, the expectations like, okay, here's the budget for us for these kinds of things and these kinds of materials and X, Y, and Z. So once you get clear on that, if anything goes beyond what you guys initially agreed, then you can have leeway of charging even more because that's out of the initial agreement. Does that make sense?
Actually, Coach, we have the quotation and the method of installation. Everything is there already.
Okay.
So I don't know to describe. They keep on asking to increase the quality of materials, even though you set the specs already. Even though you give them a discount already.
That's fire the client. Yeah, fire the client. So
yeah.
So
actually,
bro, if you're looking for a magic pill to fix people, those things don't exist, right? So the thing about me is like I'm at a stage where I can say, not personally, but like I can like kind of like say fuck you to any client who I don't want to work with, because that's my value. So you have to get kind of really clear on your values first as a business. And then you want to think about it, because like, bro, if you need the money, then you got to eat shit from the client for them to keep paying you. Fine, that's on you. However, if you don't want, if it's about you want to make the money at the same time serve a client that is a headache, there's no such thing in the world, because there are really people who are a headache within themselves as themselves. So there's no such closing magic that you can do with those kinds of people. If they're an annoying person and you've already set the expectations, you already have everything laid out to them, what I would do is like do it like this. What I would do for them is like, hey, I'm quite curious. We've actually laid down the exact things on the freaking doc before we made this deal, and we made it clear that anything beyond this is out of our X, Y, and Z. That's how we work. I'm curious, is this something that you can tolerate or not? And then you can be like, if they're no, then fire the client.
Actually, coach, that's what I've done. I terminate the contract already, because they even to give a 30% 30% deposit already. So what I did is I just return their deposit and charge them 5% admin fee.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, well, whatever. But like, here's the thing: if you have annoying clients, and you've already made it clear to them before things happen, then that's not on you. That's on the client. So fire the client.
Okay, coach. Thanks.
So you did a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay. What else? Any questions? Just let me employed. Just like me, got employed as a newbie, so my client enrolled me in Quick Pro for a year. Really? That's pretty cool. Welcome, it's me. Where did you find your client? Mr. I like your client. Thank you guys. Believe in yourself. Something hard, and I'm willing to prospects. Okay. Any questions? That's what the contract is for. Thanks. Makes sense, coach. I got your point. I understand Noel's question too regarding contract. Let me need to learn how to evaluate your service as a client. I agree, coach, and then the people. Yeah, cool, guys. At the end of the thing, here's the thing. When I started the online freelance world, as a copywriter, I served really annoying clients. Why? Because I had no track record. I had no money, right? So that's still my decision. But what are the things on my control and that are beyond my control? So the thing about that is, it depends. It's on your decision of whether how much money you make and how much stress you're willing to take for that money that they're paying you. Does that make sense? Because, in life, you're already stressed in a way in your jobs anyway. That makes sense. So I thought about it as like, I would be stressed at school anyway, studying for exams and barely passing them and not make any money, and still the same level of stress and still get paid anyway. So I was like, okay, I'll just get this time, get it for experiences and stuff like that, right? And that's fine. However, the decision is still yours, guys. The decision is still yours. If you want to fire the client, don't fire the client, sure. But take note, there are things that needs to happen first for you to say that it's not your fault anymore. Because what if you did make it freaking confusing for the client in the first place? So then we can fix those stuff. We're like, no. What you're doing here is you're confusing the client, stuff like that. In business, as long as everyone moves forward with clarity, that's it. That's it's just game over. As long as what's okay, what's not okay, and then for the client, you manage expectations. Everything's gonna be smooth ride. If it's not a smooth ride, it's the client's fault. So you don't want to work with those clients. I mean, in an ideal world, and you've got to fire the client, right? So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay.
Coach, question. Hello.
Who's asking?
Yeah, Jen Roque.
Okay.
Hello. What's your specific niche? I'm confused with content writer and versus copywriting. What's the difference?
Content writing is just getting paid to write content for whatever purposes. Copywriting is getting paid to write words or plan out things that are directly attached to making your clients more money. So copywriting is more ROI intensive, so ROI based. So it's like writing copy or writing words on ads, writing words on banners, writing words on Instagram captions in a way that when people see something, they have to click on the link, and that translates to more money. Does that make sense? So
kinda like, let's say, ebooks as well? Do you go
Yeah.
for
So
ebooks?
copywriting is like content writing with on steroids. So it's like a higher level. It's like 11 10 of content writing with a specific agenda to bring more money for a business. For a business.
Okay, let's say with your experience, what specific topic have you, let's say, close with your clients with copywriting?
I don't close my clients on a topic. It's more of like closing them on what project I'm able to handle, and what's the outcome of those projects. So,
Can you please be more specific with what
so
project you've had before?
yeah. So, here's the thing. Content writing and copywriting, what's the differences between both? Copywriters tend, so the thing about copywriting and content writing is that, when you're writing content, you can write blogs, right? You can write blogs, you can write completely anything, website, words on a website, those kind of stuff. Those are things that you can write for. You can literally write everything. In copywriting, they're marketing experts. So in copywriting, they are they're essentially sales in print. So essentially what ends up happening is copywriters understand sales and how to persuade people. So content writing is just writing stuff. It could just be writing an article. Okay, hey, can you make a report about how to use XYZ? And sure, that's fine. That's content writing. You could say copywriting is persuasive content writing. Does that make sense?
Kind
Now,
of, but I just want to be, let's say, please be more specific of what projects have you done before.
Sure.
I just wanna be specified, drop down to one topic.
So I'm gonna
Maybe Coach Miss Jen wants to see your
okay,
some
so
of your clients.
wait, you want to see
Well,
one of my
just
clients?
let's say, for example, what specific
Yeah, the actual
project?
client code.
Yeah, I just
Ray Fan.
wanna, trying to imagine what specific copywriting you're doing.
So that's okay. So that question is kind of super, kind of like vague.
Secret?
Whether that's kind of like vague for me because I don't know what you're asking about. What kind of is it? That you're asking about my niche? Is it kind of like what kind of?
Yes, niche. Yes.
So my niche is in self-development. I have clients who I help in the self-development niche. I have clients who in the fitness space, in the fitness niche. So they're fitness coaches, business coaches, life coaches. I'm also in the business coaching, fitness, and personal development. Those are my three main niches. If you're asking about the niche, but if you're asking about the projects that I'm taking on, I write email copy, email. So I send out emails to their lists, right? So I write emails,
Do
I write landing
do you
pages.
have are you willing to give us templates? Let's say these templates are from week 1 to week 5.
Not here in the not here in the Quick Pro because that's more like advanced agency stuff. But I can give you the fundamentals and principles that you guys can probably work with. Probably I can drop one or two or three, I guess, for something that you can get really paid some money for. But in terms of like the high level stuff, I can't just give that for free because I've paid more than like 500,000 pesos already for my mentors to pass these stuff to me. But I can give you guys a quick brief of like what kind of projects you can work on as a copywriter. Would that make sense for people? Does that make sense for people? So what kind of projects can you actually take on as a copywriter, and like how can you charge clients for it? So here's one of the projects that we have right now. So there's two types of copywriting, and I think I've already made this clear for the ladies and gents. The first thing is direct response copywriting, and then there is non-direct response copywriting. Okay. Now, understanding this, direct response copywriting is copywriting wherein you can track the data, okay, of the results that your copy brings. What do I mean by that? For example, Facebook ads. Does that make sense, guys? Because in Facebook ads, you can track how many people see the Facebook ads and how many people actually click the link. Does that make sense? So for example, let me stop sharing. So for example, Quick Pro, right? In Quick Pro, if I hypothetically wrote copy for Quick Pro, what ends up happening there, okay, what ends up happening there is that I can write copy for Quick Pro, let's say version A, B, C, and D, and Quick Pro can test that. So Quick Pro will run all those four pieces of copy that I wrote, and then Quick Pro can then see which ones actually are working the best for my audience, right? So let's say version A is more fear-based, version B is more promise-based, version C is more hype, version D probably is more social proof. Does that make sense, right? So Quick Pro can then put that out, and then all of those, let's say out of 100 people who saw this ad, 4 people click. Out of 100 people who click ad copy B or boy, 8 people clicked, and whatever, right? And they discovered that the social proof one with a lot of testimonials actually work the best and make copy. What ends up happening is then they can spend more money on that highest performing Facebook ad, and then they can turn off all the unprofitable ones. Does that make sense? That's why direct response copy is so much higher. It's paid because it's when advanced copywriters know what to test. They know how to test so that you can make more money for every dollar you spend on advertisement. Does that make sense for people? That's just one example. The other example that we have is that landing pages. So what are landing pages? An example of a landing page is something like this. So here's a landing page that I wrote. And I can even give this link to you guys, that's fine. So I can even give this link to you and see how I wrote this. I put it in the chat. Oops, I accidentally sent it to a person privately. Okay.
Coach,
What's that?
the words are yours.
Yep, I wrote this. So the agency produced the landing page, but I was the one who wrote the entire thing. Does that make sense? So this is the thing. You need to understand like what is your, so like once you get into like, this might be complicated, but when you're in copywriting, when they're in direct response copywriting, you're probably working with clients who have teams already and they just want to write copy for them. And then their teams will make your copy pretty in terms of design. So in the terms of design, I didn't do anything. I just wrote the copy in a Google document and then sent that to them. And then they produce that. They copy paste it, they do whatever they want with that, right? Sometimes you have clients who don't have that, so you can charge even more. So just copy and design of the landing page, right? See how this works? Now, anyway, long story short, here is the purpose of this is to convince people to get to an event and then upgrade to VIP. Does that make sense, right? So now they can pay me more. I can charge a lot more money for a project like these, for example, $2,000, simply because I can attach an ROI in this. And let's say they're planning to bring in 100,000 people to look at this page. Does that make sense? That means that, let's say 1,000 people, okay? Let's say 1,000 people purchase whatever it's this that they're offering on this page because they read my copy and they got convinced. What ends up happening is that they make $47,000 because it's a $1,000 people paying $47 each. Does that make sense? And as a business owner, because my skill set is very valuable and sales based, what ends up happening is like, if I can pay this person $2,000 to make $47,000 in return, I have a profit of $45,000. Okay, does that make sense for any business owner? Okay, does that make sense for any business owner? Yes or no? Yes, right? And so that's why copywriting and sales is that's where most of the money is made, because it's money related, it's revenue driven. So if I can, for example, so copywriting is just sales in print, right? It's the same thing as if, let's say you have one friend who is very good at closing deals, right? And you want your house, you want someone to sell your house for, let's say, 1 million pesos, right? But then your friend is so good at closing that your friend can actually close someone else to pay 2 million pesos for it. But then your friend is like, I can sell this house for 2 million pesos, but I want 500,000 pesos. And you were initially planning to sell it for 1 million. Does it make sense for you to pay 500,000 to your friend who can close? Sure, makes sense in the math, right? So this is the difference between the direct response copywriting and then just normal kind of like copy. Yeah, so normal copywriting, right? So I'm probably, so for example, admin. So I'm gonna share this with you guys. So how much money have I actually created for one client? Okay, so I'm gonna show you guys. This is like our back end. See if I can share with you guys how much you can. Okay, so just for today, we have, so this month of September we made $4,328 on this one. I worked with this client already for quite some time. So let's see. So this one we made $6,400. This course we made $6,422. This one we made 47. Oops. So this one we made $47,146. This one $4,000. It's a different kind of things. Anyway, so long story short, if you're good at writing copy, you're promising your clients more money through the words that you write on the Facebook ads, emails, landing pages, Instagram captions, whatever it is. As long as they can track the amount of money that you produce for a business, then you can charge more money for these kinds of people, and that's in copy. So essentially, you see this is pretty much a very long page, kind of. Does that make sense? You see this? It's a pretty long page, but that's because, for example, so here's an example of the copy, which by the way brings me to an important question. What if you could dramatically accelerate your progress faster by getting tailored world-class advice from the speakers themselves? What if you could share what you've tried, what you hate and love, so the world-class speakers and experts can tailor action-based strategies that will work for you? Things like that. You see how like there's so much that goes into copy that you can't just like copy paste templates for. I mean, there is templates for it, but then you gotta know that the templates are just a skeleton, but what you put in the words, which is the meat, is what you want to work on more first, if that makes sense. Yeah, but this is the direct response copy. So this is like what we call as a landing page. To answer, who was the girl who asked before earlier? What was that?
Jen, coach. Jen.
Jen. Yeah. So Jen. So this is one of the projects that you can work with as well, Jen, if you get into direct response copywriting. So this is what we call as a landing page, because the entire purpose of this landing page is to get people to click this link right here. Okay, make me a VIP, right? If they get convinced of what I wrote, they'll click this link right here. Okay, and then they're gonna enter their credit card details of a checkout page. Does that make sense? So I wrote this and I wrote the page before this. So what is the page before this? This, right? So I did not design this, but I did write it. Does that make sense? Does everyone make sense? So I hope.
Yes, coach.
Okay, so,
I have a question. I'm Rana, by the way.
Go ahead.
Because I used to do landing page now. My question is, before you started your copywriting career, did you start doing case studies for it? So you have an evidence to show to the clients or the agencies that you are capable of doing sales-driven copies?
I'm not sure how to answer your question, because the only way to get case studies is to start getting into it, if that makes sense.
Yes, coach. But yeah, because how is the pricing typical for that? Because you mentioned that it depends on the ROI or the profit, but do you require or do you accept work from agencies or from clients that they give to you the amount, or you already start to demand a certain price for it since you already proven?
So to answer your question, two things have to happen. Number one, you need to be talking to the right person. Okay, and the number two, you need to have the right sales system and process to sell your copywriting services. Now, what do I mean by that? There are companies who have a fixed budget and how much they want to spend on marketing, right? So corporations have those kinds of things where they're like, we're gonna spend $50,000 in 2 months for marketing, and some of them just give that budget to an agency or whatever it is, and it is up for the agency to bring that budget in an ROI. Does that make sense? If that's the case, then I can see how much I want to get paid for a project that I'm willing to take, and then if that makes sense for me, then I'll take on the project. But normally, what we normally do is we want to make sure first that a client who is working with us is already at their stage of the business where it makes sense for them to pay the amount of money that we want to get paid for. Does that make sense? Right?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Oh. To answer your question, here's the thing. So I'm gonna stop sharing. So how do I close clients and how much you get paid? So there are landing pages that I charge $1,000 for per project, and there are also landing pages that I charge $4,000 for per project. Now, I'm talking about US dollars, by the way. So what do you mean? So what's the difference between both? So the key here is that it depends on the budget of the business, of how much traffic or how much money they can spend to get people to visit the landing page, because that's what's gonna, make sense for them on an ROI perspective. Does that make sense? Because if there's only 10 people who are gonna take a look at the landing page, then they don't really have to spend a lot of money on that, because not a lot of people are gonna see the landing page. Does that make sense? Does that at least make sense? So you're gonna talk to big clients if you wanna charge big project, take on big projects. Now, to answer your question, Coach, how do I convince them that I can deliver upon the project? Now, there's two ways you can do that. Number one, you need to figure out first do you have testimonials that you can back up with, like, hey, I produced this results for this client? Or if you don't, then what you can do is you have to write for them for a cheaper price and charge higher commissions. Does that make sense? So instead of charging $4,000, you can charge $1,000 and take higher commissions, because now you're more invested in the project, because the more sales that your copy produces, the more money you also make. Does that make sense?
Coach, how much do you charge for a commission?
Oh, it depends. It really depends. But
Percentage.
It depends on the type of project that it goes for, because sometimes there are landing pages that I write that are not directly attached to getting them to buy immediately. It's just them to book a call with a sales closer. Does that make sense? And then it is up to the sales closer or the person who hops on a call with them to close the deal. Does that make sense? Right? So you have to understand what you're even selling for, but it depends on what you're actually selling. Now, if you're selling kind of informational products like courses, that's not extra work from the client. Does that make sense? That's just free money, because if they make recorded calls and they sell that, they don't really have to spend time. Does that make sense? So let's say they're selling an online course for $1,000. If you sell $1,000, that's just free money for them if they didn't spend anything. Does that make sense? If that's the case, then I can charge higher commissions of up to 10% per sale. That's what I would charge. But if it's for coaching programs, then they need to make more money, because they're spending time to coach the people who invest in their coaching programs. Does that make sense?
Cool, yes.
Does that make sense? So if it's for coaching programs, it would normally go for 5% and below. For maybe it's ebooks, right? So once you're done writing the ebook, and then and then that's free money for them if they keep making money off the ebook, right? So if that's the case, then I would charge higher commissions on that. Yes, so that's an entirely different conversation, because you need to understand first what value you bring to a business and how much work you need to put in to actually get the results that you are promising for a business to a business owner, right? So once you get clear on that, once you get clear on how much work needs to be put on, then you can start thinking about how much commissions you can charge, because I can't really give you I'm charged 5%, 10%, 15%, 20% right off the bat without giving you a case-to-case scenario of what kind of project you're being brought on and the things that you need to look out for that will also affect the pricing. Does that make sense for people? But that's what I can give though. So if it's less work for the client, less to no work for a client for every sale made, higher commissions. More time or effort required for the client to deliver the goods, whether it's a service or whatever it is, then I would say less commissions on that end, because it wouldn't make sense for the client to kind of like pay you as a copywriter and also make a freaking and then get less profit spending his or her time for the client. Does that make sense for people? Did I answer your question? Whoever.
Yes, coach.
Yes, coach.
That's clear.
Cool.
Coach, I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
This is Christian. Coach, I just wanna ask advice from you or some tips on
Okay.
how to, to land my first job. Because actually I underwent intensive training in freelancing course at Filipino Virtual Assistants for a month. I actually learned on how to make social media content creation, business branding, and also um plant analysis, basic SEO, and some of blog writing. So
Okay.
I actually learned that. So I tried to apply in um online jobs and Upwork, but unfortunately I kept failing my application. But sometimes I actually got to the final interview, but still I got failed. So um I just want to ask, what is lacking from me? Uh, what what is lacking for me? Because I know how to post scheduling in using Hootsuite. I know how um to create um content content creation. I know how to work with that, and also I know how um to track of social media accounts or social media accounts creation and optimization. I know how to do it, creating marketing plan,
Okay.
and also I what do I need to uh what do I need to practice in order for me to land my first job? Because the reason why I actually enroll here at Quick Pro, because my short term is actually to land my first job, to
Mhm.
get a client. And
Okay.
then for my medium term is to practice. And then to practice any skills, or to practice my to practice more, to get learn, so that I
Learn,
can
learn
and
what?
then for example, after when I got my first client, basically for SMM, I'll be trying to learn on how to create websites, or how to
What's
yes,
your
websites,
what's your main
WordPress.
what's your main outcome? Who's Christian, right?
Yes, 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 yes.
So okay, so Christian, before you start, okay, thinking about that is you need to get some clarity first on what your motivation is. Like, what is your goal? Is it that because you want to become a business owner? Is it because you want to hit an actual income level? Is it because you want to build a company? What is your end goal? Let's say 5, 10 years from now.
5 to 10 years right now, want to I want to build business services business like this, like like Quick Pro. So that's my goal.
So what you want to build a service-based business to serve clients, or you want to you want to become a company owner that is business to, that helps, that is like Quick Pro.
For US client,
Okay, so essentially you want to be
for
like
for 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 international clients,
so like
yes,
an agency.
yes, you are right.
Cool. So the thing about that is you don't want to learn all the skills if that's the case. You just want to focus
Mm-hmm,
on one skill and get team members to be on board with you, and then
mm-hmm,
outsource.
mm-hmm,
That just doesn't make sense for you. I mean, the way that I did it is like I just know copywriting, and
mm-hmm.
marketing, and even sales, but I can direct videos, but I can't create videos. I can't create social media content. I mean, I can like write, but I don't do the photo editing and stuff like that, or the planning stuff like that. What else? SEO, I don't do SEO. I don't even run the actual Facebook ads. I just talk to the Facebook ad manager and tell him like exactly how I want it to be and how I want it to be tested, but he translate that in his own expertise. So if that's the case that you want to do that, just build one skill which you want to keep doing for a longer amount of time, and then find people who actually have those skill sets and then partner up with them and then create your own agency. So then you have a team who actually can deliver results for any kind of client, if that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
Because what's going to happen if you like learn all the skills, you're going to be spread too thin, if that makes sense. You're kind of good at copywriting, you're kind of good at SEO, you're kind of good at website development. But if you want something that's world class, you just want to focus on becoming world class video editor or world class website developer, then get someone to be on board with what you do and be also world class social media management, whatever it is. Does that make sense? Now, for you, let me see. So for you, you're asking me about like, hey coach, I have a question. My goal for getting into Quick Pro is to make as quick money as possible, and that's fine. Okay, if that's what you want to do, then I'm not an expert in getting hired at. I'm not an expert getting hired at like online jobs at PH. I'm not an expert at like getting hired at like Fiverr and those kinds of stuff. But I do know one thing. If you're not really, so if you're not landing the job, it's okay. It's because you're not what the company is looking for at the end of the day, right? So I can't really help you based on like what you said. I'll need to dig deeper in that, simply because if you actually were landing an interview, it's probably because other people were better than you. That could be one. Number two, it could be like when you got into the interview, they just realized that you're not a good fit, right? So, or number three, it's because you just weren't able to communicate certainty in the mind of the prospect or of the hirer that you can actually deliver. You can actually deliver the goods. Does that make sense? Now, all right. Now the thing for me is, I teach people to work with clients, not for clients. So this is not my expertise on like how to prove yourself to a client. Other than if you have testimonials, I would use that, or I would work for them for free and then get paid after once they're happy with the job. Is the fastest way to get a client. But that's dependent on the skill set that you have. So for example, if you want to convince people that you're a good website developer, then give them samples of the websites that you made, even if it's just mock websites of Lorep Ipsum. Because that will give them certainty, oh, okay, this person knows to build a website. It's like convincing a person about, hey, I can draw better than Leonardo da Vinci. In my mind, that's bullshit. But if you give me an actual painting of like, that's even better than Leonardo da Vinci's paintings, I'm like, done. Okay, that gives me certainty. Does that make sense, Christian? So
Yes.
whatever you're saying is like, I know how to do this, and this, are just promises. So you need proof and evidence behind that to back up your promises, to give people the certainty like, okay, I can trust this guy, he can deliver the job, stuff like that is where I'm coming from, if that makes sense.
Yes, coach, I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
Actually, whenever I got the interview, I'm actually, I'm getting, I used to be ready. Actually, I have proofs where I can show my portfolio for them. I have, actually I created proofs. But the thing here is, whenever I got my interview, um, sometimes it's actually, um, after the interview, they will be telling me that I need to wait for at least 3 to 4 days. And then after that, I'll be receiving that uh, you know, I'm not shortlisted for them. So, so yeah, that's the reason why that I'm having a hard time to get to land a job.
So
Even if I got portfolio.
did they give you reasons why they didn't hire you,
Um,
or it's just
no,
big?
it is just failed. Actually, I tried to, I actually tried to reach them. I asked them some tips. What do I need to, what do I need to improve for me to get better?
Yeah, don't do that.
Actually,
So when so when I don't know, like, but the thing is that so here's the thing: your clients are don't turn your prospects into coaches,
mhm,
right? So uh okay, so I wouldn't really kind of I wouldn't really okay, so I don't really turn my prospects into coaches of like asking them like what are the things I need to improve on. But here's because that will give them an impression like, okay, so he really had no idea about what he was doing. Does that make sense? So
mhm,
now, in terms of that, what I would normally do, and I don't do interviews where like I'm trying to apply in the mercy of the approval of the other person. What I do
mhm,
instead is I get into to a situation where it's like a deal based scenario where I'm like, okay, what do you need help with? So then the dynamic is already very different because I'm the expert. They're the ones who need my help. And then
mhm,
I'm just trying to figure out where I'm the Simon Cowell. They're the ones who are auditioning, whether they're going to be a
mhm,
good client, or not. Now,
mhm,
here's the thing. Whatever it is, I always listen first before I open my mouth.
mhm,
So when I come into a situation, I always lead the conversation and then be like, okay, cool. So, hey man, I have a quick, kind of a general loose framework for conversations like these.
mhm,
But okay, yes, I'm a copywriter, yes, all the good stuff. But before we get into that, I just want to make sure first that our time with the time in the next few minutes are used effectively. And for that, I just need to know about like what's the current situation right now. What does your goals look like? What do you need help with? And then based on that, I'll be able to take a look at like this is something that I can take on, I can help with, I can add value with. If in the sense that if I do know that this is not the right fit for me, I'll be the first person to say that we're not going to be a good fit. Or if I know another person, I'm gonna then, uh, you know, connect you with someone who knows how to help you even better. Does that make sense,
mhm.
Christian? So what ends
Yes,
up
yes.
happening is that they see you as the expert, and because they said that, okay, he's not just trying to make money, he's just not trying to do everything and bullshit me just to be hired or whatever it is, because you're coming from a place of authenticity. That is where at least I work for because it's marketing, so it's most of like always tailored for the client. But if it's about I don't know, like, but if it's about something super basic such as it's SEO and not I'm not saying SEO is basic, but it's like it's straightforward. SEO is SEO, or video editing is video editing, or photo editing is photo editing, or website development is website development. What I would normally do for that is just building my reputation on like, okay, always asking first, kind of like I've never been in interviews, honestly, but like what I would do in interviews is like just getting really clear on like what kind of team member are the hirers looking for, and then listen to them attentively, and then just feed them exactly how you fit into those what exactly they're looking for. Um,
Mhm,
I wouldn't really say as well, Christian, about what are the things that I can improve on, because you don't want to get your prospects to coach you, kind of like, here's what I think you should do in the next interview. What I would
mhm,
do instead is like, okay, what if there was one thing that could change that would make you hire me, what would it be? Would be a better question to ask instead of like, what can I improve on in my next interview? Does that make sense, Christian?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Is
it
this
did.
helping you?
Yes, it did.
Oh, okay. So
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your advice.
yeah, cool. Um,
I have question.
so it's funny because I wanted to do an actual sales closing, but everyone's starting to ask questions that okay, I'm just rolling with it anyway, because I think a lot of people love this Q&A kind of dynamic for this call. So I'm gonna make this the Q&A call anyway. So, um, so
But
guys,
at least coach share to us a closing one. At least we have a take home, I mean, before we go to bed, at least we
yeah,
learn something from your sales closing. That's what I'm really waiting for.
cool. Yeah, 100%. So I'm gonna start getting one more question
Okay.
until I go to the actual sales closing example. But on the sales closing example, I need someone to treat me as the client, and you're the one. You know what? It's either gonna be two ways. Before I continue, do you want me guys to be the client, or do you want me guys to be the one who's closing?
Maybe vice versa.
Yeah. Okay. So that's gonna be a bit.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
I'm gonna try to do. I'm gonna try to. So
Can you
I'm the
do
one.
both?
Okay. So put a vote. Me as the closer or me as the client? Drop your comments.
Of
Drop
course,
your
you're the
Closer.
closer first.
Closer.
You're the closer. You're expert with closing.
closer. Okay, closer. Okay, so I'll do that. So before I do that, I'll just entertain one more question, and then we'll dive into that. Does that make sense for Is that okay for everyone?
Yes, coach. Can I
Okay.
hit the question?
So who's asking? Noah. No.
Noel.
Coach, can I ask the last question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, in your experience, because it seems to me that you're so expert. So, in your experience, in your previous job, there's some instances that you, what I mean is to then not meet the expectation of your client, and how you deal with it.
Well, wait. What is your question again?
There's an instances in your previous experience. There's an instances that you did not meet the expectation of your client.
Okay.
How you deal with it?
You're gonna have to take punches, and you're gonna have to be the one who's going to have a compromise because you're the one who didn't deliver on the promise, right? So two things: you can either see and look within yourself of like what happened that led to you not delivering upon the promises, and then just lose the client, or you can sacrifice something on your end to keep the client. So those are your two decisions because you're the one that didn't deliver on your promise, right? So number one, is it outside your control or is it within your control? That, for example, I know maybe you're into the property development space, right? Maybe you're in real estate. And you're like, you have a contractor. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna build a house in like 2 months, right? And then let's say Yolanda came in, right? That's out of your control. So if it's out of your control, you're like, bro, like you see what happens, out of our control, XYZ. Cool. That's a different thing. Then you can negotiate with the client. First, first is that if the reason why you weren't able to deliver the results for the client is because of you overestimating what you could do for the client, so it's your negligence, it's your lack of skills, whatever it is, then you can make a compromise on your end to either work for free for a client, or you need to add more bonuses for the client or more freebies in the client the next time they sign you a retainer, or you want to value stack. Does that make sense? You want to value stack with something of a compromise on your end to keep the client, if that's what you want, if you do want to keep the client. But if you don't want to keep the client, then you want to keep thinking about, hey, what did I do within my past few days or weeks that I was working with a client, and what led to this happening where I wasn't able to deliver the results for the client, and then you fix what's wrong the next time you sign another client. Does that make sense? Is
Yes,
what I would do.
Coach. But I'm asking based on your experience, in your own experience.
Okay. Okay, so if from my experience, if I don't, for example, email marketing, and I don't, produce results,
Projects like that.
yeah, for
If your
emails,
experience,
a lot. Honestly, guys, in my first freelancing journey, I burned clients. I literally burned clients because that's the reality of the world. So, welcome to the real world where you take a course and not everything is like heaven, right? So there's going to be times where you don't deliver results for clients. There are going to be times where you thought that you would actually close the deal, but you didn't. You were so happy, and then you were like, client verbally said yes, but then tomorrow they're like, you know what? Never mind. I found a better guy, and they're like, what did I wrong? Stuff like that. Those things happen. So one example was that I signed a client who was pretty big. 3-4 months into my journey into copywriting, and then so I want to get into the closing part, but so I'm gonna run through this long story short style. Promised him that I'm gonna make him a landing page, okay, a landing page in XYZ time, and I did deliver that. So I wanted to do, at that point in time, I wasn't really good at like what I did yet because I was still 4 months through the copywriting space. So he paid me like $1,500 for the landing page. It was a pretty big client. And so, long story short, it wasn't converting. Does that make sense? So it wasn't bringing in sales, right? So it wasn't bringing in sales, but so the client was like, it's not bringing in sales, right? So what I did is I rewrote the entire landing page for free, and I kept rewriting and rewriting and rewriting, and what ended up happening until finally it did convert. Not at profit, but at break even at least. So at least they got back their money from that they made, and then they made more money beyond that. But that's what I did. So that's my experience. I don't think you're gonna get some value out of that because my niche could be very different from yours. But those are the two fundamental principles that I would go for. It depends on like how, what's the reason behind you not delivering for a client. If it's because of your negligence or lack of service, I would make a compromise on my end. But if it's not, then I would negotiate with the client, because if it's out of my control, then I would explain to the client what happened and then go from there. Did that answer your question, Noel?
Yeah. Thank you, Coach. Thanks.
Cool. Okay, so no questions. I know there's a lot of questions going on. Now, drum roll, I'm gonna be the closer. Okay, so I'm gonna be the closer and someone here is going to be the client, right? Now, provided I need to have a bit of like an understanding of what I'm actually even offering, because I cannot become you guys if I don't know what I'm even offering. So if you get me to a closing call where I am the closer and I am, let's say, closing a client for real estate, I have no idea how to close you because I don't know what I'm even offering and what are the objections that I would able to be, what I would handle. If that makes sense. So what are the things that I can do examples on? So what I can do examples on as me as the closer is if I'm closing for copywriting, if I'm closing for email marketing, if I'm closing for appointment setting, if I'm closing for social media management, and if I'm closing for Facebook ads. That's it. That's the 5 niches that I would be able to close for as the closer. Okay? If you want all of the other things, if video editing, website development, stuff like that, all those kind of things, I would normally be the client, and then I can coach you on how to handle the objections that I have based on like what you can deliver for the client. Does that make sense for people?
Coach, let's say you could also give us a script of those you've mentioned a while ago, a closing powerful script. Just a template.
A closing script.
Hello, Sir Clint.
I might not be able to give a script that I can write, but I can probably give you a screen recording of the conversation that I've had in the DMs with one of the clients that I closed. I think that would be valuable.
Yeah.
Would be better.
But I don't think I have a script for that.
We can wait.
I don't think I have a script. So if that makes sense. So okay, so who wants to go first on the closing examples? Anyone? Nobody?
What is the topic?
Okay, so as a closer, if you want me to be the closer, it has to be about copywriting, email marketing, social media management, Facebook ads, things that I've done in the past before, because I know those stuff, which means that I can close you on it because I'll know what value I bring. But if you get me to close as the closer, what's that? Okay, so I'm seeing Facebook ad, copywriting Facebook ads. Copywriting.
Facebook ads.
Facebook ads. Okay, so can we
Facebook ads, Coach.
copywriting, Facebook ads, I wanna know. All right. Let's go with Facebook ads. Ads.
Facebook.
Cool. So who wants to become, so anyone who is offering Facebook ads would be a good fit for this to become my closing role play partner. So who here wants to become my prospect?
Client here, sir. Ano, Coach?
What's that?
Client. Volunteer.
Oh, I'm the client.
I'm the client. You're the closer, right?
Wait, who's talking?
Farah. It's Farah.
It's Farah.
Farah, okay.
She has a website, Coach, and the Brave Soul thingy.
Ay, ang galing. Yes, got that. You got that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, 100%. So, you want to do a quick demonstration first of you being the client. I'm gonna be the closer for Facebook ads. Yeah.
Oh, and I was just thinking, Coach, since Facebook ads would also cover copywriting, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So let's go with Facebook ads.
Okay,
All
we're
right.
Facebook ads. All right.
Now the idea
So okay, so here's
is that
let's state some premise. Okay, so like we can role play correctly. So here's the thing: we talked on Instagram, and then we hopped on a quick call. All that I know is that you need Facebook ads, right? And this is the first call that we probably had, right? Would that be good? Is everybody following? So
yeah,
here's let's pretend that I reach out to Farah via email. Okay, so let's say via email, I reach out to Farah via email, and Farah's like, okay, cool, I'm actually needing Facebook ads right now. And then let's hop on a call, let's say on Wednesday night, right? So today's Wednesday night, and the call is scheduled right now at 11:30, right? So is everybody following? Is everybody following?
Yes, coach.
Yes, coach. Go ahead.
Yes, coach.
All right, so so here's the thing. So Farah, I'm gonna go a ring ring, and once I say ring ring, that's gonna be an interaction between you and me, and then we can take it from there. Cool?
yeah, sure.
All right, cool. So ring. So are you ready, Farah? By the way.
Yep.
Cool. Okay, ring ring. Hey Farah, how's it going?
Hi, Clint. I'm sorry. Hold on. Hi, Clint.
Hey
I'm
Farah.
glad to finally meet you.
Yeah.
How are you?
Likewise. I'm doing pretty good. Cool. So I was
Awesome.
browsing
Okay.
through your Instagram, and I actually saw that you had an amazing business, and I thought that I could add value. So I sent you an email, and now we're here. Cool. So
Yeah. I'm actually glad you did that because I just want to make it clear right now, as early as now, that it isn't really a business that I want to develop.
okay.
It's more of an advocacy. So I want to run a charitable institution. It's like a nonprofit organization for single parents. However, on that particular website, I also want to establish like an e-commerce wherein they will be enticed to sign up for a membership. However, right now, I really have no idea how I'm gonna go about that using Facebook ads, knowing that most of the people are actually more active on this particular social media.
Cool. So the thing about that is like before I start, even sort of getting into it, I want to get some premise first, so so that this call actually becomes more valuable, and I will get some clarity on where you're at right now and where you want to be. So I'll see how I can fit in on what I would do about your current situation, what kind of Facebook ad strategy, because at the end of the day, Facebook ad is just the means to an outcome. But I want to get clear yet first on like how we're actually even going to achieve that outcome, so that we'll be able to figure out like, is this even possible for you, and if we can even help it for you, then we can get clear on how we can make that happen. Does that make sense? So
Yes.
I just want to get clear on, because I know that you have two different things that you need help on. Number one, you need help on promoting a charitable organization, right? And then you also, on the other hand, you want to promote e-commerce as well on Facebook, both of which are possible in Facebook, which is possible where we can actually use Facebook ads to achieve that outcome. But we need to get clear first in what's happening right now, and on what's happening right now in the state of your organization and where you fit into that. So I'll see how it can help. Is that cool?
Cool.
Right. So tell me more about the charitable organization. How are you related with them, and how do you see, what is the main outcome that you want to get out of running Facebook ads?
Uh-huh. I actually call it Brave Souls.
What
Brave Soul means. Sorry.
What was that? Brain Souls?
Brave Souls. Yep.
Brave
That's the
Souls.
name of the organization, and it's.
Got it. Cool. Go ahead.
It's actually an acronym which stands for building relationships, adding value, and empowerment in serving others through learning experience. So
Okay.
this brave soul actually aims to help. So thank you so much, Sir Darl. I can see your hands. My supporter. This
Okay.
actually aims to help solo parents establish their establish or boost career their career and businesses online. So, well, previously I was just targeting since before the pandemic, we actually had events, but since the since there's already new normal and there's social distancing, I don't think that's going to help the solo parents or the single parents. So what I wanted to do right now is to bring that awareness to these single parents that there is actually a support system for them, and that is Brave Soul. That Brave Soul will be the ones to help them um, in their lives, that will provide them um, free trainings, and business opportunities as well. So that's it. I'm not sure if I was really able to answer your question. Was I able to describe it
Yeah. Yeah. You're going.
clearly? Okay.
You're giving me valuable information. Thanks for sharing. So, just to clarify, essentially what you're promoting here is a charitable organization where parents, so essentially your target market is parents who are stuck right now on the pandemic, and that you want to help them get some free trainings to introduce them to business opportunities. You talked to me about, this is becoming a profit organization where parents can actually chime in and it's a community. How are you involved in that? Is this something that you started? Is it something you just became a part of and you want to communicate? Just put ads. Are you a member of it? Like how is your relationship with them looking like? What does that look like right now?
Yes, I actually started with this Brave Soul. So I'm like the ones who's founding it. And I'm also a part of it because Brave Soul particularly targets solo parents or single parents. So these are people who are single-handedly producing, or what do you call this, providing for their
Raising
children, at
your
the same time
child.
looking after their children. Sorry, ano daw?
Was that?
What's
Okay.
that, sir?
So a quick question. Anyway, Farah, it's just between you and me because we are on a closing call. So let's just pretend that no one is actually coaching you. So, go ahead.
Okay.
Um,
Okay, coach.
so essentially, you started this Brave Souls, right? What? Same Brave, right? So you started Brave Souls, and essentially it's for single parents, and you want to have a support
Yes.
system as well, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
what is your main outcome for these kinds of parents to get supported on free trainings for, is this business opportunities?
Both for personal and career growth as well as their business opportunities, because people, well, generally speaking, people do not really know what particular niche or what particular skills they want to develop, right? So I want to give them the opportunity to really decide for themselves and to have options, which would they want to develop. Is that a particular skill to get a career and land a job, or would that be a business opportunity? So they can actually get to choose.
Okay, that makes sense. So tell me more about the current numbers right now. What have you tried? So essentially right now you're going to Facebook ads. So what's getting you to decide that Facebook ads is something you're looking for at this current point of time?
Actually, I haven't really tried Facebook ads yet. Right
Okay.
now, what I have is just a group, and then I'm just penetrating to other similar groups too, so that I can attract other solo parents. And yeah, that's basically it.
Got it.
I
Okay.
haven't really tried Facebook ads
So
yet. I'm thinking if I'm gonna do that, I don't know what particular. Yeah.
so cool. So right now you have a Facebook group, right? You
Yeah.
have a Facebook group. How many people have gotten into that? So to become part of this Brave Souls, what do they get by becoming a part of this Brave Souls community? So
Well, right now there's
Yeah. So
Right now, there's really not there's no platform yet, but what we have already started since last year are events. So we have conceptualized like a charitable events bazaar for a cause, wherein we were able to what do you call this? Our beneficiaries are also solo parents with special children, so we were able to give them like durable medical equipment for their children who have special needs.
do you have
So yeah,
content for
that's
that, by the
basically it.
way?
We were targeting events before. Sorry.
Okay. So have you, quick question. So do you have content for that? Like have you recorded videos, pictures for those kinds of events? All right, great.
Yes, yes, cool. Yes.
All right, great. So right now, I want to get clear first of like, what do they get to become a part of these? You're clear in the promise, right? So you want them to get supported. You want to give them business opportunities. You also want them to, what was that? You also, these are like, you know, right now during the pandemic, you want these single parents to
Free
actually
training.
free trainings, right? Now, what I want to do, okay, what I want to do is that um, you want to bring in people, you want to bring awareness, right, through this group, and you want to get them to become a part of this Brave Souls movement and its charitable movement. Now, for that to happen, get me clear on, aside from the platforms, they get free trainings, okay? What is it that they'll get specifically if they become a part of it? How do they become a part of it? Do they just talk to you? Is there an application for it? Like, how do you get them through the door from becoming non-member to member? How does that process look like right now?
Actually, there's no system yet on how
Okay.
they can become a member. The only requirement that I ask from them is to make sure that they are really solo parents. So they need to have their own ID, the national ID that's issued to solo parents. We have that here in the Philippines. So if they have that particular ID and they have a number, they can just key that in on the group, so they can join, so they can be accepted.
Okay, so just to get some clarity, what's happening right now is members just provide you these details and then they immediately just become accepted, become a part of this Facebook group right now.
Sorry, what?
So for from non-members who want to become members, they go to this Facebook group and then they give you these details of their ID and then their number, and then they become members of this Brave Souls. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, technically that's what's happening right now, and that's exactly the reason why I wanted to speak with you. I want to find out what is it that you can help me with, knowing that right now I only have like 100, 120 Brave Souls to be exact, and I'm just visible here in Pasig. I want to be known worldwide if possible. So how are you going to help me with that?
Cool. So the thing about that right now is you're clear with your target market. So you're actually helping single parents get some support group. And you've actually gotten 120 people through the door, which means that, in one way or another, there is a specific market that wants the same outcome, which is joining this group. So, right, that's pretty great right now. Now, before you want to run ads, you want to get clear first on like, what is it that you want to communicate on the ads? Because right now, I think because you still don't have a system in place, okay, for people where, okay, they click the ad and then what? They join this Facebook group. Yes, we can do that, but what kind of people do you actually want to bring in terms of the Facebook ads? So with that said, I think right now it's not gonna be a good idea for you to go to run ads first. I think you want to create a good system first for your existing 120 members before you start running ads, because what you can then do is use that and show that on the ads of how much better it is for people who are single parents during this pandemic. What kind of, then they can differentiate of like what life is like inside this Brave Souls group and what life is like outside the Brave Souls group. Does that make sense, Farah?
Yeah. You see, we're actually already starting to build a website, and this website is going to be like a membership. I don't know if you call it that membership website. Wherein there's like a basic and a premium membership, wherein basic members are those who just wanted to be part of the community, who just wanted to get more information about it and see what's going on with the community. But the premium basically will give the, and sorry, for the basic they will also have the free training and whatnot. Now the premium would have the like the e-commerce wherein they will be taught how they can actually set up their own online businesses.
Okay.
So
that's an entirely
eventually they can actually make use. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. So in terms of what you said, that's an entirely different story, and that's stage 1 or stage 2. What I'm seeing here is like everything's just going all over the place right now. So we need to get some clarity first. So in terms of this, number 1, you're getting people through the door through the free membership site before you even decide to, before you even decide to go for the 40 set for the premium one. You want to make sure first that if people, you want to test that first with their existing audience. Does that make sense? So for the people who are, for the people who are in your existing, group 120, you want to test them first if they're willing to go for an upgrade by investing something financially, right? Does that make sense? That's something you want to test first before you create a system beyond that. Because if you start to scale and spend money on something that is still unproven, then you're going to end up creating a business that people don't want. Does that make sense? Or people are not paying money for?
Yeah, so can we just go back to the basic then? Let's forget about the premium
Cool.
membership. I want to find out, what can I do then to increase the number of members that I currently have from my group? That's just what I want to find out. If I'm going to run an FB ads, what do you think will be the best thing that I should do so I can convince all those single parents or solo parents who would want to be a member of Brave Souls? So right now we're just going to offer like the free trainings and business opportunities, but
cool.
And the community itself.
So there's many ways we can go about this. You can promote the trainings as a benefit by joining the Facebook groups. You can also promote the experience that your members currently have inside the Facebook groups. And then you can also go about a specific testimonial of someone who is inside the Facebook group to create a video for you. And then you put that as an ad creative. Does that make sense? So those are 3 ways that you can do about it. Now, in terms of that, if you're just getting people through the door, easy, we can do that with ads. Now, it depends about this. How many people do you want coming inside this Facebook group per month?
Right now, the largest Facebook group of solo parents has 13,000.
Okay.
So single parents. So
okay.
I want to tap them all. That I can get before the end of 2020, I can actually get everyone signed up for Brave Souls. That's 13,000.
So you want to go from 100 from 100 members to 13,000 members in how much time?
In 4 months.
In 4 months. Cool.
3 months. October,
okay, 3 months. All right. So okay, let's work out the numbers here. Now, for that to happen, we're gonna have we need to take a look at first on how much budget you actually have and what kind of market you're actually targeting. Are you targeting around the world, or you're targeting a specific demographic of like people?
For now, let's just target the Philippines. Anyway, I'm already working on my SEC, and I have board members with me.
Cool. So here's how I would go.
So I don't think budget would be a challenge.
Great. So in terms of the budget, what I would normally do is so if it's just around the Philippines, I would normally go for a budget like $50 per month. Per day, for $50 per day on a budget around that, and then you can test it around 10 different kinds of creatives, right? So what ends up happening there is you want to start testing. So at the end of the day, Farah, what we're going to do here is you want to start testing different kinds of creatives on the market that you want. So for example, we can't really normally target people on Facebook wherein if they're single parents or not, depending if you want to go with interest-based targeting. But what you can do is start testing first and spending money on and seeing what kind of audience actually reacts with the creatives. Does that make sense? Right? So within those time frames, actually having a budget of around $50 per day. How much is that? Give me a second. So
2,500
times 30. It's at $1,500 of ad spend per month. So a quick question there. in terms of budget, is this something that you guys can actually pull off just an ad spend?
Are you asking me? Sorry.
Yep. All right. So thing about that is like, as I
Oh,
said, sorry for being confusing. So in terms of that, for your goal here, okay, for your goal here in the Philippines, simply because Philippine ads are very cheap, you want to go to 13,000, which is a considerable amount of number. And so here's the thing: you're going for 13,000 simply because you're seeing the biggest Facebook group, which is reaching at 13,000. Am I correct? Right?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of that, what is the reason behind you wanting to achieve it in the next 3 months? Is it just for the sake of like setting that as a goal, or is there any reason behind that where you really want to achieve it within the next 3 months?
Well, the main purpose is to help single parents, right? So the number is, I think 13,000 is still too little to reach out to all these single parents. So what
Okay.
I wanted to do is just to really help more of them. The more, the better.
Cool. So to give you some context here, I understand that you have this burning purpose to actually help single parents, right? And that's very commendable. However, in terms of that, in terms of like comparing yourself to someone who's already super, super big, you got to understand as well, like how they were able to actually generate that amount of traffic and how much of time. So that way you can also see what's realistic and what's not realistic. Does that make sense? Because the last thing that we want here is just being randomly throwing numbers where, okay, hey Farah, if you spend $1,500 per month on ad spend, you're going to be guaranteed to get 13,000. How do you say this? 13,000 members on the Facebook group. Now, granted, we're going to do all that we can to see what kind of creatives, the best creatives that you can to actually produce that outcome. But that's going to be determined in the first month, because the first month is where we start to test whether people really actually love to be in your group or in other free groups. Does that make sense? So we want to test first. So in terms of that, since it's a nonprofit organization, is it safe to say that you guys are not looking for an ROI, but you're just looking for more people clicking through the door so that they get inside the Facebook group?
Yes.
Cool. So based on that, Farah, essentially, the way that I see this is that we're gonna dive deeper in another call, seeing what's going on right now, on exactly what's happening inside the Facebook group, what trainings have actually been set in place, and of course the content that you guys have in terms of videos, pictures, things that we can use for the ads and the campaigns that we can use, but essentially the way that I'm seeing it is actually having a maximum ad spend of $1,500 for 1 month, and a minimum ad spend of $1,000 per month. Is that clear for you?
How much is that in peso?
So, give me a second. Probably my
$50 a while ago, it's 2,500 peso.
So $1,000 would be a minimum ad spend of 48,000 per month. $1,500 would be $72,000 per month, just an ad spend. Does that make sense? Cool. So just based on that ad spend, what kind of ad budget are you guys more comfortable with?
I don't think there's going to be a problem with the budget anyway, because we're also looking forward to an event this 2021, wherein we'll be promoting a virtual run for this single parents. So that's why we wanted to come up with a bigger number.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. So the key here is like what I'm being brought in for. So just to get things clear, is what I'm being brought in for is just to get the right people clicking through an ad that will get them through the door of becoming members. Does that make sense? Right? So just to make sure, getting people to click the ad is the KPI, and what's happening after that ad is out of our control, because that is a different story of convincing another person to click an ad, and another story of a person to actually go through your Facebook group and then actually apply for it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
right? So my question is for you. Let's pretend that we actually move forward with this, right? And then let's say we start the project. How do you want to get people through the door? Do you just want them to just go through a Facebook group and then click on like apply now, or do you want a or do you plan to put them on a landing page? And then that landing page convinces them to go to the Facebook group.
Yeah, I want them to go through the landing page first.
Cool.
Is that
So my question for that is that something that you guys would want to do on your own, or is it something you guys want us to take over as well?
well, if you can take over it, that'll be better.
When
Maybe we don't have problems with budget.
Cool. So in terms of that, the way that we do it is for landing pages, since it's like nonprofit. What we can do is we charge $500 minimum per landing page, and if you want to go on a higher end, because it's like for opt-in, it's not for sales. So what we can do is give you a script. You guys actually film that. Is that something that you guys can do?
Well, if this is a landing page, how many words will be in that particular page?
As many as it needs, but normally, based on like what we've done for our clients in the past, it could be around three to 5 minutes. That will be dependent on the creatives that you guys actually have right now. Does that make sense? So how many pictures or videos do you actually have? How many testimonials do you have? Because that will affect the length of the landing page. And of course, what kind of things we need to put in the landing page to convince people to go through the door and actually apply to the Facebook group. Because the goal of the landing page is to increase their desire for the Facebook group they actually have, or this Brave Soul movement. Does that make sense?
Yes, since you'll be handling our landing page too, would you be able to help us, since I only have a few testimonials and few pictures from our previous events? Is this something that you can help us with? I mean, is there something that you can do for us in order for for you guys to make that landing page really
so let's get some clarity here. So number one, we're going to take over the ads. That also means, since we're taking over the ads, we will be able to implement coherence between what's happening in the ads and what they'll see after on the landing page. So it's going to be increasing emotional momentum. So the way that this works is they get even more invested once they actually go through the landing page. And the way we'll be able to do that is we'll also guide you through the types of content that we would need from you: pictures, videos, all of those included. All you guys just need to create, all you guys have to do is upload those kinds of things in the Google Drive folder, which we'll give you after this call. And after that Google Drive folder, what will then happen is we will create the entire idea and different kinds of ideas that we can pitch based on the content that you have. Are you still following me? And then based on that, we'll create three to four, or maybe even 5, and then pitch that to you. And then you will then decide which ones actually resonate with you guys the most. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that sounds interesting. So, okay, so I'm sure that we're gonna have another call after this, right?
Yeah.
Once you have prepared.
Yeah, so essentially that's the way that we want to do it. So just to make things clear, it's $1,000. It's $1,500 for the ad spend. But for the ad management, what we're going to do is we're going to have $1,000 of ad management per month. So in total, for your Facebook ads, we're going to be handling everything, where it's a $2,500 investment from the entity, where $1,500 is actually going through ad spend, through testing the creatives. And so here's what we're going to go with this. We don't scale things that are unprofitable or that are not working, which means that depending on the creatives that you have, we will test 4 to 5 different kinds of creatives to your market for a duration of 5 months and see if things are working there. And if things are not working there, we will put a pause so we don't continue on the second month. So we fix things in the inside before even continue on the second month. If things are then working, and then the ads are working, and then the landing page is also then working, then we can continue in the second month, because now it would make sense since we're actually producing results. Does that make sense?
Yeah, clear.
Cool. So that's pretty much it for me for now. I'll go through this recording in a few minutes from now, and then consult with my marketing team. If there's anything we'll need from you, what's the best way to reach you?
You can send me an email first so I can review all your proposal, and then I can discuss that together with our board members, because I know we'll be talking about a huge amount here, right? So I want to make sure we have all the details of that 4 types of what do you call that, approach that you're gonna
Yep.
bring us so we can
Yeah,
review it first.
100%. So what we'll do here is we'll just create a proposal for you with all the things that are included and how we'll go about it with full clarity. And so you guys will be able to have a full handle of like what you're actually getting into and what it's like to working with us in the next few weeks moving forward from here. Then based on that, you can give us an answer if it's a yes or a no, and then we can move forward from there. Cool?
Okay, fair enough.
Cool. So, and then I can stop. And then that's pretty much long story short. So that's pretty much,
Boom.
okay. So I don't know if you guys actually understood what I just said.
Clap, clap.
Was that audible for people? I'm not sure because I was just blabbering about probably.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes,
more or
totally.
less, I was able to grasp, yeah, the step-by-step procedure. You ask about her project,
Mm. So
everything, the cost.
so here's the thing as well, guys. I would normally type. Okay, I would normally type during conversations, and it's okay if you guys type during conversation and closing calls. What I would normally do is like, hey, bro, whatever it is, I would be like, just so you know, there are going to be times where there's going to be awkward silences because I'm going to be typing the things that you're actually saying, so that I don't mix anything. Is that cool for you? Right? And so that, so even before the call actually happens, I mean, even before you get into the call, you guys are like, you guys are going to be able to set the frame to make it more relaxing for you. Does that make sense? It's going to be more relaxing for you. And yeah. So the thing about that is you want to become the doctor first. So you want to talk about them, their current situation, what they want. And you also want to give them some clarity. Based on like where Farah was at, she was like all over the place and so many things hasn't really been done in the groundwork. And that's because I kind of like already know that based on experience. But in that also gets Farah the certainty that, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about, which in fact I kind of like already do. That's the thing. How do you actually do that? So what you can do is have is doing research on your niche and then seeing the different kinds of scenarios that you can take on and the different kinds of scenarios that you cannot take on. Does that make sense? And then using that over and over again with role playing with yourself. So what you can do, what I did in the past was I had a group of cards where I would write the questions and then the way that I handle the objection is at the back. Does that make sense? Right? So any objection you have, I would write that. And then what I would do then is swap, and be like, get one, maybe your sister, maybe your friend, like it's too cheap, stuff like that. And then what you can do is practice and memorize that. So by the time, so the thing is, the more unprepared you are in a sales call and the less experience you have, the more whack the sales call will be. So if you don't want your sales calls to be whack, then you got to be, it comes in with preparation, right? So people prepare for everything. For the board exams, you study. For college, you go with first year, second year, third year, and fourth year before you get a diploma. For, whatever it is, for the military, you go through trainings before you finally become a military graduate. The same thing for pilots as well. They go through training before they even drive a plane. The same thing for you as well. So if you want to become really good as a closer, you need to understand what you're even offering in the first place. Okay, so you need to understand. It's called offer comprehension. Does that make sense, guys? It's offer comprehension. And then number two, you need to understand who or what kind of person will actually make sense of this offer, right? So who's my market? So it's the offer and then the market. And then that's pretty much all on the sales side of things. The marketing is on the message. Does that make sense? So we have this thing in marketing known as the market, the message, and the offer. So the market is like, who's your ideal client? Who's your ideal market? The message is all about the marketing, the branding. That's it. Facebook ads, Instagram, websites. That's the message, because that's where you put your message, your content, your blogs, your testimonials, your Facebook groups, all that stuff, right? Message. That's for attracting leads. Does that make sense? The offer is like, what is your offer to people? What can people invest in, or what can people be a part of in exchange for something, right? Does that make sense? So that's pretty much, it. So I know it's 12:05. How many people are here? Okay, 119. Interesting. So
I have one question regarding the call. You mentioned about going through the recording and then you're going to send another email, like
yeah.
the summary, the conversation. Do you tell your client that the call will be recorded?
Oh yeah, before that, I forgot about said that because I was already recording before the call started, but I forgot about to say that. But I would normally say yes. I would normally record that. Right now, it's not an issue for us anymore, but I wouldn't do what we're doing because I would just like record right away. And if the client's like, why are you recording? Oh, okay, we just record this for you. Is it something that's comfortable for you? Then no, then no. But you know, to save yourself from that, I would just be like, by the way, before I continue, would it be cool if I record this call just for reference's sake? You know, that simple, right? So nothing complicated, just really that simple. Yeah. So, but if you become really awkward about it, that's when people become awkward as well. So it's like, by the way, is it cool, you know, if I like Outlook record this, you know? So if you say it like that, then the client's gonna be like, I'm not sure, right? So,
Coach, why are you recording it? What's the purpose of it?
so I can reference back on it again, because there's gonna be probably things that I might miss. Yeah. So for all of our closing calls, we record them and we show them to all of our team members so that our team members who are going to work with the client will also get up to speed without us actually regurgitating exactly what we talked about on the call, so that it saves us time. And at the same time, my team members as well will be able to get inside of like what's really going on, you know, if that makes sense.
Cool.
And then a coach, prior to the call, you ask them to fill up a form, like what would be the requirements for Facebook ads, or what would be the services that the client would require?
Well, you can do that. That will also affect how the call goes if you do that. But for me, for my example with Farah, I was just like, I just met her on Instagram and then I sent her an email and then we just hopped on a call, right? Of course, it would take more effort than that to get people on a call, but that's just for role play sake. Okay, don't use that as an example, but that's just for role play sake. That we just met on Instagram, I sent an email, and then nothing. I don't know anything yet. However, if you can get people to fill up, you know, some questionnaires, that would be great, because all you have to do is just basically dig deeper on what they wrote on the questionnaire. That's just pretty much it. Like a doctor, right? So like the doctor's like, okay, like doctor viewing some files. You said that you were eating quick chow for 3 years straight, 3 times a day, right? So if that's the case, then the doctor just keeps digging through that. So here's the thing.
Coach, question.
Okay,
Question.
go.
What's your main profession? I mean, your college degree.
I dropped out at first year, so business
What?
ad.
Business ad. Okay.
Business administration for 1 semester, and then I dropped out. So don't do what I did if you don't. I don't recommend this for everyone.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. So now I'll entertain 3 more questions regarding the closing of the during the closing calls. Any question? Any kind of question on like, Coach, how do I do this in my offer XYZ? Now's the time to open it up for it. I'm sure there's a lot of questions. I think you guys, don't be shy. So if you have any.
Well, I'm not where we are at the end of it closing. I want to know the step by step. Let's say first you need to do this, you need to prepare on, you mentioned about a template of your email of setting this call.
Yeah, so I have a template for my emails for that. I'm gonna send that on the Quick Pro Google Drive. So you know what? I'm gonna create. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna create a Quick Pro Google Drive folder, and I'm gonna plug in all of the files that we're probably gonna use.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea because
new folder, Quick Pro files. So create. So I'm gonna create. I just created a folder, and then I'm gonna share it with everyone. Get shareable link. It has to be kind of anyone with the link can view. Copy link. I'm gonna put it in the chat right now, so nobody chat. I'm kidding. So I'm gonna put it in the chat so everyone can get access to this. Of course, right now there's no files yet. So that is the official Quick Pro, I don't know, Clint Sistoso, Google Drive folder. I'm gonna putting all of the things that you guys are asking there. So I'm not gonna put the recordings because I killed the recordings after 3 days. But since I was on time in this call, I'm not gonna have a recording for this. I'm not upload a recording of this call. I only upload recordings of my calls if I do not. If I just pop out of the blue, I'm like, hey guys, I'm gonna have a class in three hours from now. But yeah, so that's essentially what's going on the closing calls. Now, in terms of a template of the closing calls, I didn't actually share that already with the previous classes. So I think you're kind of like new here, but essentially the first goal is just building rapport. That's pretty much it. The first part is just building rapport and talking to the person, listening to them, and then being on the same frequency with them. So if they're sad, you don't want to be like sad as well, but like you want to vibrate with them as well and try to bring them towards. You wanna start picking them up where they're at, and then bring them towards the hype, right? Because what happens is like they're sad, and then you're hype. There's gonna be a big disconnect, and the person you're talking to will feel like you don't understand them or you're not listening to them, right? It's just like your friend. You share something that's super sad with a friend, and the friend's still happy. How do you feel? You're like, okay, probably you're gonna be like a little bit. You're gonna hate your friend a little bit. Second thing is, after you build rapport, then you want to start digging deeper in the current situation, and you're qualifying the lead. So essentially, you want to see if you can help the lead has money, stuff like that. So those are the things that I did clarify with Farah. So if you remember, I did ask her about like, is this something that you guys can work with, right? So if it's not something that we can work with, I can probably go for a lower budget thing, depending on like what Farah says. But I was like, okay, Farah, is this something you guys can do it? And Farah's like, oh, budget's not an issue. Okay, cool, right? So let's go spend it, right? So that's because she said that, right? So essentially, they have the money. Cool. So is there any questions? Is there any more questions that I can answer? Coach, you mentioned that you're gonna send a proposal after the discovery call. What would you likely put into it, or how would you arrange it? Proposal depends on the niche, but it's basically like everything that you've covered on the call, but then it's now the solutions. Does that make sense? So,
Coach,
was that?
excuse me. Ang labo po kasi, ano lang po, parang clarify ko lang since most of us are newbies and not all of us are in the industry of copywriting. So bagong-bago siya sa akin and sa amin din. So I just wanna, kasi kaya mahirap siya i-grasp yung info ng mock call kanina kasi hindi namin alam yung mga commonly reason of objection. Kasi ang topic natin is handling objection. Pero ang naipe-present nyo na po kasi agad is the solution. So, yung nasabi dun yung objection nga about the budget issue. So, aside from budget issue, is there any reason for objection from the client? And from there, can we enumerate those reasons and then from there makagawa tayo ng script or kahit kami na lang kasi mas madali po kasing mag-create ng script if we know the commonly reason from the client, yung objection po. Yun lang.
Yeah, so Jessica, to answer your question as well, I was going with the flow of how Farah handled me. So I didn't handle objections as well because Farah didn't have any objections.
Yeah, exactly. Kaya nalito po ako.
Okay, so just making sure. Now, in terms of objection handling, that's an entirely different masterclass that we can go for like an entire month, because for each and every single industry, there's probably 100 objections. So it's 100 objections. So if you want to go through that super clearly, that means that we're not going to be discussing about copywriting. We're not going to be discussing about marketing or client acquisition or emails, all this kind of stuff, because we're all going to be on the client objection handling. Now, there's going to be people here who are not so beginners. There are people here who are beginners as well. There's also people here who are also, advanced in what they do. They're aspiring copywriters. There's people who are website developers or SMMAers, right? And then there's also people who want to offer SEO ers. I don't know why I keep saying ers, I just like that. Anyway, long story short, each of them will have different kinds of objections depending who you approach with, Now, the thing about that is handling objections, okay, can only be done once you know that your client is a good fit. Okay, so
Okay.
now the thing about that is handling objections is the last part, Jessica, which means that you can handle all the objections of the client, but if they're broke, you're just really wasting your time. What I would normally do for a sales closing process is make sure that you're approaching the right people in the first place and making sure that you have a screening system, which is the qualifying process, where you know, is the client someone who I can help? Is the client someone who I want to help? Is the client's current situation something that they would be willing to pay money for? And does the client even have money in the first place, right? You have to have those all check box in place. And so beyond that, I do not know what kind of objections your clients will have, because that's on your own expertise on your specific fields on website development. Because the website developer could like, do you know how to do UI and stuff like that, like coding and stuff like, I have no idea, right? How to overcome those objections, because that's not in my field of expertise. But I can give you frameworks to use so that you can then plug and play what replies would make sense depending on your niche, because it's just not going to be sustainable. It's going to make sense for me to like get like all of your objections, because there are probably 1 million objections going to go from each of your from all the clients you actually handle. Now, how do we actually solve how do we actually solve this? In terms of that, guys, essentially you can start Googling as well of like what kind of objections your clients actually have in those offers. You can start asking other people on QuickPro as well who have started to sign clients and got rejections. And at the end of the day, it's always going to be either around, it's going to be an objection of like, can you do this? Does that make sense? It's going to be an objection like, can you do this? It's going to be an objection of price. Or it's going to be an objection of they're not willing to do it now, but they're going to keep you on the back burner. Or it's a number 4, it's just that they don't see how your offer can help them scale their business. Does that make sense? Right? So does that make sense? Now it's all going to be on, so it's all of those principles have, different kinds of ways that you can handle those objections. Now what I'm going to do is that before we want to talk about how to handle objections, I want to teach you guys first about how do you know if your clients are actually the right clients you're talking to. Does that make sense? And that's what I talk about in the next class, because you guys are going to keep wasting your time trying to handle the objections of a client who was never meant to be your client. It's never going to be a good client in the first place anyway. Does that make sense? So, okay. Now, here's the thing. Before you start reaching out, okay, you got to solve the problem one step at a time. Before you start worrying about how to talk to clients, you got to worry first about how do you reach out to clients correctly. Because if you don't reach out to clients correctly, clients will not reply to you. Does that make sense? So if you don't know how to reach out correctly to clients, they're never going to reply to you, which means there's no purpose of becoming the best conversationalist if you can't even reach out to a client, right? Now, before you even worrying about reaching out to a client, you got to worry first about reaching out to the right market or right ideal clients. Does that make sense? Right? Now, before you even worry about that, you also kind of like want to worry about how or do I find, okay, where do I find my ideal clients? So you see, now Coach overload, it's too much information. Well, welcome to
Coach, you will include a proposal. I mean, in the next training, since you've mentioned about prospecting, I guess, will you able to include proposals that, of course, proposal tips, wherein newbies also will be served as a helpful guide with them on creating proposals or reaching the prospects.
So the thing about proposals for me, guys, is just pretty much Googling proposals. That's pretty much it. Really, because there's no such thing as, the proposal is just a recap of what you guys do or will do to help a client get what they want. Now, does designs help? Kind of. Does it kind of help? Our proposals are the most stupid proposals in the world. It's just like a Google Doc with a slap of our logo and then exactly what we'll do for a client, kind of. So for you to even go on the proposal side of things, you need to understand first how upsells work and like how pricing works, where it's like, oh, 1 month of ads, $2,000 per month. 2 months of ads, it's gonna go at only $1,700 per month, or a package of $3,500. That makes sense. And then if it's 3 months, it becomes cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. You guys have to kind of like understand how that works, because it's very different how your proposals can work. You need to understand how pricing works and how you want to drive people to a specific offer. For example, if you're a social media manager, you could be like, oh, I'm going to go for 30 posts a month for, no, it's 10 posts per month for $500 per month. Does that make sense? So $500 per month for 10 posts per month. But if it's 15 posts per month, it's $600 per month. But if it's 30 posts per month, it's $700 per month. So you see, they're like, it's stupid. I'll just go with 30 posts per month. So based on what I know, like designs won't really help. I can't give you the proposals of the agency because that's confidential stuff between the client and the agency. I can probably give you like plug and play with offer one, explanation one, offer one, explanation one. But if that's the case anyway, you guys can pretty much just Google. You guys are just, it's literally like this. It's becoming more of like, it's really this simple. It's pretty much just Googling. So for example, it could be like email marketing proposal examples. Right? And so that what you can do is to search about, I normally go with images because it gives me, so here's an example of that. This is not, it's not different. So this is like it's an email marketing project proposal. Email marketing pricing proposal examples. Yeah, so something like this this is exactly what I can probably give to you. So, oh no, it's not that's not the one. I'm probably gonna look for something else. Yeah, so basically it's something like, it looks like something like this. And I just Googled this stuff. So we have consulting proposals, free business proposals. The thing is, let me see. Yeah, here. So 1-page proposal, I could just click this here and I just found that on Google. Yeah, so project duration, project title, project details, what are the objectives of the proposal, parts and equipments. Of course, just replace this with whatever you want to use. It's just, yeah, that's pretty much just it. And then have like a sign. Now here's the thing. I can't give you an email marketing proposal, but I can't give you a proposal that will work for everyone. You guys have to Google that yourselves, because what works for email marketing is not what probably would make sense for website developers and all the other kind of stuff, if that makes sense. But well, okay. Yeah, okay. Karen just uses Jot form. I don't know. Give me a second. I think you can even go with Google Docs. I think they have templates as well for proposals. But yeah, I think Karen had an amazing share. Karen, thanks for that. So it's they use Jot form. That's one thing that you can do. Yes, Coach. So to answer Dorothy, it's going to be the last question that I'm going to answer. Dorothy is like, yes, Coach, where do you find your clients mostly, or how? I find them on Instagram and on Facebook. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I find them on Instagram and then Facebook, and then reach out to them via DM, and I film selfie videos of me reaching out to them. Is what what I do to stand out above the rest. Because if I just send them emails and messages, which is what everybody else is doing, they're probably just gonna, oh, okay, another person in this, and this. I want to stand out as much as humanly possible on the reach outs, which is what I normally do. So I film selfie videos and stuff, like all those kinds of stuff. So yeah. Have you tried LinkedIn? No, I haven't tried LinkedIn, but I know that it is, for my niche, No, I haven't tried LinkedIn. I mean, I think I did for like 1 week, but that's nothing really crazy. So okay, last question. Okay, for Homer. So I keep saying last question. I keep answering everything. So for Homer, in terms of like for the reason why. So here's the thing. Understand this. Why are clients asking for testimonials? Okay, you want to ask between why, because they want to make sure that if they pay you, you actually deliver the job. Does that make sense? Right? So don't obsess over the fact that I need testimonials. I need testimonials. Yes, testimonials will help. Yes, social proof will help. Yes, all these experiences will also really help greatly. Now, the big question you have to ask yourself is like, why are people asking for testimonials? Because they've probably been scammed before. They know that what they're doing is probably hard, and they want to make sure that whatever they pay you, they'll know that you'll be able to deliver on it. Does that make sense? Now, how do you deliver that and reverse that once you're starting with nothing to start with? It depends on your niche. For example, for email marketing, let's say what you can do is have samples of emails, right? For an email marketer, you see a product they're trying to promote, what you can do is write email samples for them and send that over to them and see if they like it, then hop on a call to see how you can do that for them on a month-to-month basis. That's one. If you're a website developer and you want to create websites for e-commerce people who probably have lipsticks, I would create dummy websites. I would create dummy websites with amazing design that are tailored for, e-commerce and stuff like that. Because once they see that in your portfolio, even if you don't have clients, but then you're honest, like, I'm actually still starting out, I'm looking to build my client base, I'm willing to work for you, here's the examples that I can have, is something that makes sense for you, yes or no? If they ask, you can hop on a call and see how we can take this even forward. Then that's how you sign a client, right? So is that a guarantee you're going to get paid a lot of money? No. But is that going to be better than doing nothing? 100% yes. And instead of that, you work with the client's happier, happy that you delivered on, what he or she's asking. Then you turn one client for 3 clients, because that one client who is happy with the work you did for the client will share you to 3 of his friends or clients. So that's what is happening with me right now. For the last 9 months in 2020, I have not approached one single client ever in my life. So all of it was just referrals after referrals after referrals after referrals. And that's because the copy that I write are producing results. Or if they don't produce results, I get my clients to stay with me until I get them with the results. If that makes sense. And you also want to be careful that you don't handle too many clients, because you'll break apart. And then you're going to be spread too thin again. So if you, for example, if you're marketing, they pay $1,000 per month, and you want to sign like 10 clients, so it's going to be $10,000 per month. I want to have all the money. You'll lose all of them, because you can't serve all of them together at the end of the day, and all of them will be equally unhappy and get mad at you, right? So anyway, it's a very long class. I just realized.
Sir Clint, I don't have any question, but I just want to say something.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I've been really keenly listening since the start of our class, and I think it will give more sense, for everybody, so that everybody can follow. Maybe this is just a suggestion for me.
Yeah.
If it's possible that before the start of the class, we can have this kind of booklet for the class flow. What are the things that we have to tackle, so that everybody will be guided, or it's such like, a guideline for everyone to know what are the questions that they have to ask during, so that everybody can be engaged with what the question is. Sometimes kasi there are some topics na, since there are some newbies, intermediate and advancers, as what you said, so that everybody could have connections with what is the topic is. So parang sa akin lang, some of I don't know with if you're going to say yes with me, but there are some topics that are really not awkward, but you feel like you're out of place, because nga you don't understand exactly what they're talking about. Parang ganun po. So I think it will be better if there's a class flow or guidelines for everyone to know, so that everybody will be guided. They won't be just like asking questions just like that, or butting
Yeah.
in. I hope that made more sense.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, thank
One
you.
one thing that I'm really gonna start doing is that okay, so I'm not doing this to criticize the Quick Pro business model, but what's happening right now is that they don't have any onboarding process for people who actually come in new. So there's probably people every single time that are popping in that are new, and there's also people who are kind of as well who are kind of like in the advance that they've seen the same things. And I've been in Quick Pro I think for almost 2 months. I don't remember. The thing about this is that yes, that will help. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be honest, I don't really have the time to create really detailed I don't really have the time to create very detailed, class how would you say this, class outlines, simply because it just takes too much time out of too much of
Maybe
my time.
we can help out from that.
But
We can give
Or
so
suggestions like that.
Like
probably
a
a
lesson plan.
slides. Yeah, slides. You have a PowerPoint. At least we have a direction.
Yeah, there are people who knows some information about what we're tackling about. So maybe they can also give proposals to you. These are the things that we can tackle during the class. So everybody won't be lost. Or parang may direction yung pinag-uusapan natin. Kasi sometimes it jumps to another situation. Tapos parang ma-out of topic
yeah,
ulit. Tapos magiging
yeah,
parang
yeah,
very specific na parang siya lang yung nagbe-benefit dun sa tanong niya. Something like that. I'm just being
yeah,
so upfront, okay? So
yeah,
I'm concerned with everybody.
It's okay. I feel sister.
Just something like that,
yeah. Okay.
Cool.
So what I'm gonna do here is I'm probably gonna create. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna create a plan for everyone where it's gonna be rotation. The rotation for me is simply because that I go with the vision board, then I go into rotate about email market. I talk about marketing, copywriting, sales, and then client acquisition. Now the thing about that I'm seeing is that for Quick Pro students, there are newbies and there are people as well who are kind of experienced and advanced, and there are people who are in different kinds of niches. Now the way that I work is that the way when I so I'm gonna stop recording.